Welcome to episode 037 of the Bit Beacon broadcast. It's June 3rd, 2024.
Ravenheart's here.
Kodax is here. And what have you been playing? What have you been buying?
Okay, so I received Hades. I have it. It's still in the shrink wrap.
Right. You had mentioned you bought that a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah. So it did show up, I think the 29th.
Okay.
Is the day I got it. And it's just been sitting there because I've been really busy this week, adulting with responsibilities and obligations. But though I haven't played much, I did finish the Pokemon Go Master Research. So
you did? Okay. I still have like 13 eggs to hatch or something like that.
Yeah, that took the longest. That was the last one I had.
I've been doing so many of the rocket leaders.
Oh, yeah.
For my level 50, or my level 46 level requirement research.
Are you getting the 12k eggs out of it?
Yeah, so I'm just constantly getting 12k eggs. Yeah, so I'm like stuck hatching those slowly.
That's not a bad thing, though. Those are good. They have,
they have
a good pool.
Good Pokemon in there, potentially.
Right. I did get another Charcadet recently, so I'm working on evolving those.
Oh, nice. Shiny?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it's shiny in the game.
Oh, that's right. In Pokemon Go.
Right.
How do you get them? Are they just...
They're in eggs.
Oh,
right now, they're in 10k eggs.
Okay, that's
but
the only way to get them.
They debuted in 12k eggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can't find them in the wild?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Eggs only right now.
Right. I know some Pokemon started as just egg exclusive.
I remember that.
And raid exclusive.
Right.
Like now you're finding Absol in the wild everywhere. And it was a raid exclusive Pokemon.
Timber, I think, was a raid exclusive.
You're right. Yeah.
1-star raid for a long time.
Yep. Yeah, and they're everywhere.
Yep.
So, not playing much other than Pokemon Go. But as far as what I've been buying, last episode I mentioned I bought a whole bunch of lots.
Yes.
Well, really like 4 lots total at this point. I've spent about $300. And I it was too fresh. I didn't have all the games cataloged yet. I now have them cataloged, and I want to just
Let's
read off everything I now have acquired.
All right.
So, starting with Xbox, NCAA Football 2005, NFL Fever 2004, ESPN HNL 2K5, NHL 2005, 2 different games. Interesting that, like the Magnavox Odyssey and the old consoles, they had hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey. And that's like, I don't know, I still feel like, and this, I'm not ripping on sports fans and, sports gamers and stuff, but if you have a hockey game, don't you kind of have hockey, like, covered?
People want to play as the players.
Yeah, right. But
or have the real league names.
They all do. The
original, like, old school hockey game?
No, I'm talking about modern games.
Yeah.
Specifically modern.
I mean, I think, what year did you say those were from? Like 2004?
2004 and 2005.
So those are probably some of the last years where you still had, like, pure, fun sports games before microtransactions and stuff like that totally took over.
That's true. So I do think that sports games from this era are probably more valuable now than just for that reason.
Right.
Maybe not monetarily valuable, but and then interestingly, AMF Bowling 2004.
Who was this person you picked this up from?
There's a few different people.
Oh, okay.
MLB Slugfest Loaded, so that's baseball.
Okay.
And then Quantum Redshift. So all that, that's a racing game.
Oh, it's a racing game.
It's very kind of reminiscent of, like, F-Zero.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So that's original Xbox.
Okay.
And then Xbox One, I got 3 titles. The Lego Movie video game, which is actually, has a GameStop case, like the black case, so I'm missing a case. And then FIFA 19 and Fallout 4. I should also mention that I didn't write these down, but I have about 5 or 6 games that it's literally just the disc. So I'm just counting those as extra discs for future titles that I might own. I'm not, but I think one of them was Xbox One.
Okay.
But anyways, Xbox 360, U-Draw Studio Instant Artist.
Oh, I think U-Draw, that required like a tablet peripheral,
right? And I don't believe I have the tablet peripheral. I do have other peripherals that I will talk about, but
I was working at Target when the U-Draw thing, I think THQ was the one who, it was sort of like supposed to be like their like revolutionary, because everyone was doing something weird with like peripherals. Like Nintendo had like motion controls and Xbox had the Kinect, and like THQ was like, well, we've got this drawing tablet thing, you know?
Right, yeah.
But yeah, it's like, interestingly, it wasn't just like one drawing tablet that could work for all 3 of the consoles. It was like they each had their own like version of it that could communicate with each console.
Of course. But yeah, there were a lot, you're right, there are a lot of peripherals. This is probably also around the time where Disney Infinity and Spyro.
Skylanders,
so a lot of stuff going on. Which is cool and I got some of that. Some of that's going to come up.
A unique point in like gaming when like there was like this push to like bring games like to a
some sort of reality. Yeah, you're right. Continuing down the list, Just Dance Disney Party.
Okay.
Yeah. Superman Returns. Lego Batman the video game.
Okay.
Sid Meier Civilization Revolution. Project Gotham Racing 4.
Nice.
Also known as PGR, that franchise. Marvel Ultimate Alliance / Forza 2 Motorsport. This was a weird disc.
Huh.
Yeah, it had
2 games in
2
one.
games on it, yeah.
2 games that couldn't be like further apart from each other.
And then when you open, this is Xbox 360 again. When you open it, you know how those double discs have like a thing that wrote like a disc holder in the middle?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Okay.
And yeah, it has literally like the cover on one side, and then all the fine print is printed at the bottom of the cover, and then you flip it over and it's Forza cover. So it's got like 2 covers. It's just a weird thing. I didn't even know they made those.
That is strange.
So that's kind of a discovery on my part. I got Plants vs. Zombies, which I mentioned in the last episode, as well as Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, Soul Calibur 4, Call of Duty World of War, Medal of Honor Warfighter Limited Edition, Assassin's Creed 3 GameStop Edition, and Star Ocean The Last Hope.
If you were an Assassin's Creed collector at that time, there was like Walmart edition, Target edition, GameStop edition, Best Buy edition.
Really?
And each one of them had like a different little weapon pack that was like exclusive to like that retailer.
Shoot.
So and not to mention the cover, the actual cover art has like a little banner at the top that says Target edition, the Walmart edition. Right. So if you wanted, I mean, now you could probably get them for dirt cheap.
Sure.
Because, I mean, those games sell...
Ubisoft games don't retain any kind of...
And they sell millions of copies, and they end up on the aftermarket.
Right.
But, yeah, crazy. I remember, like, getting one of them, and I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like, really? They had to put this... They couldn't have just been a sticker on the outside of the box, you know?
Right. So, I'm guessing that's just a North America thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Moving on to PlayStation 2. Buzz the Hollywood Quiz, Buzz the Mega Quiz. These are like quiz games, but they're first-party Sony titles.
Oh, yeah. I think these were ones that were made in like Europe, because they have like a lot of microphone games.
Yeah,
where like you would plug in a microphone and like say the answer into it or something like that.
Yeah, SingStar and all that.
Yeah.
NCAA 06 football, online startup disc 4.0.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I love those kinds of like system discs.
This is a PS2, network
Yeah.
disc. So, yeah. I'm glad I have that complete. And it's still like shrink wrapped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sealed,
okay. I
pretty
bet
much.
you maybe there were like certain models of the PS2 that it came like bundled with inside the
maybe.
system
Well,
box.
I know that there was a network peripheral
Right.
for PS2. I'm thinking it came bundled with that.
Okay.
Because it's online startup disc.
Because when I got a PS2, I got the Slim. I did not get the really big one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big one is the one where you had to buy like an extra adapter for it.
Right.
I think the Slim came like you just plugged Ethernet into it and it was ready to go online.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So Slim has like its online components built in.
Yep.
I didn't know that. PS3. Okay, a bunch of sports games. So NBA 2K13, NHL 13, NBA 2K16, MLB 13 The Show, Cabela's African Adventures.
Nice.
Interesting. Hunting game. And Little Big Planet.
Okay. Nice.
Yep.
Little Big Planet pickup.
I also got a UMD. I didn't make a separate note for PSP because it was just this, but a UMD of the film Sahara.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that has Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, I think so.
And Kate. No, not Kate.
It's shrink wrapped.
Oh, it's shrink wrapped.
It's sealed. Yeah, weird little thing.
I have like Family Guy seasons 1 and 2 on like
really?
UMD. Yeah.
I'm starting to get into buying UMDs because I'm realizing that I don't have anything for like Hollywood actors to sign.
Right.
But that would be it.
So, I mean, can I give a little brief segue?
Yeah, go.
So, last year at, I work in the library field, and I was at the American Library Association conference in Chicago. And one of the actors from Harold and Kumar, the movies, was there, whose name is escaping me right now, and it's really embarrassing. The one who plays Harold.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking like, wow, I'd love to get something signed. And at first I was just going to go grab like a DVD, of the first movie, and like, okay, cool. Then I was like, oh my God, I wonder if that movie got a release on UMD.
Right.
And so I eBay search, and then boom, there it is. I get a brand new copy for like $10.
Yeah.
And that's what I bring to his little... He had a book come out.
Yeah.
Like a children's book about growing up like during the LA riots or something like that as a Korean American.
Oh, okay.
And he signed me. He's like, hey, I was in that movie. I do wonder... He didn't mention like, what the heck is this or anything like that. But I do wonder if anyone has ever gotten...
a UMD to sign? Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure it's happened somewhere, but
yeah.
If not, it happened last year.
I remembered that.
Yeah.
And then that prompted me to be like, well, maybe I should start grabbing UMDs. Also, there's Game Boy Advance Video, which most of that's cartoons, but you do have like Shrek and stuff like that. And so if you met Eddie Murphy, have him sign your Game Boy cartridge. That'd be cool.
But yeah, it's crazy how many movies got put out on UMD.
It's
for
a lot.
PSP.
It is
like,
a lot.
Hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 different movies.
Not just movies, but like Marilyn Manson, Guns, God, and Government World Tour.
Yeah.
Like concerts like and stuff.
Yeah, just absolutely mind-blowing. Like,
yeah.
Was there that big of a market for UMD movies?
Yeah, it was a format because Adobe Premiere came pre-installed with UMD format for video production. Yeah.
That's just because like that only played on PSP. Like
I don't understand it either, but yeah, there like the formats were everywhere. All video software around that time when I was in college had UMD like formatting codec.
I mean, I have 4 or 5 movies on UMD, and I remember like I would watch Napoleon Dynamite like all the time. I mean, it was mind blowing to me that you could watch a movie, widescreen on like a little handheld device. Like that was like,
right,
right at the time, because again we're going back to 2004, 2005.
Some of our listeners might not even have been born.
Oh Lord!
But yeah, we were in high school and. Yeah, when the PSP came out. And yeah, I remember. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
So, did I read this? No, PS4. NHL 16, Lego Dimensions, Titanfall 2. Those are
the Lego Dimensions is another Toys to Life game. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
More to collect.
You're missing all the characters and minifigures and things.
More to collect. All right, so this is
saving Nintendo for last. It sounds like. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is my biggest list.
Okay.
So so Disney, Pixar, Cars, Toon, Mater's, Tall Tales. That's the full title of this game. Yeah,
they fit that all on the spine.
Yeah, it's all on the spine. Disney, Pixar, Cars, Toon. Mater's Tall Tales.
Not Cars 2. Yeah. Cars Toon.
Toon. I don't know why that's in there, but yeah. And then Transformers the game, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 09 All Play. I see a bunch of sports games that were like have the same title as like a PlayStation game, but then the Wii version has All Play at the end of the title. I
think much like today, Nintendo Switch gets like weird versions of like sports games that other consoles have.
Yeah.
And at the time Nintendo was very focused on like multiplayer and like motion controls. So it would not shock me if this was like a completely different bespoke game just for Wii that like incorporated, motion control swinging and or maybe 4 players swinging at the same time.
It probably has to do with the motion control integration. You're probably right about that. Yeah, you'll see another one of those.
Okay.
Triple Crown Championship snowboarding. Can't even read my writing. Triple Crown Championship snowboarding.
All right.
And then Zumba Fitness 2, which I noticed was published by Majesco.
Okay.
I didn't know
Interesting.
They did those games. Shaun White Snowboarding Road Trip. NBA Live 09 All Play. Again. AMF Bowling World Lanes.
Again.
If there was one I was going to actually
that might be fun. Yeah. I would wonder, how do you top Wii Bowling?
Right.
Wii Sports Bowling.
I don't know.
Good luck.
AMF is bringing the heat. We'll see.
AMF is now Bolero. Yeah. Folks, that's how much times have changed.
That's true, yeah. Big Brain Academy Wii Degree, which I showed you in the last episode. Wii Fit Plus. We're getting into my latest box now.
I have a quick thought. You should bring your copy of AMF Bowling to the bowling alley and have all the employees sign it.
Oh, yeah. That'd be crazy. Have like the CEO of AMF. That would be crazy. Wii Fit Plus.
Okay.
Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz.
Oh, man. You know what? Do you have a Wii balance board?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, it looks like a scale.
Yeah, the Wii balance board.
I found one at Goodwill.
Okay.
And bought it for $5.
Yeah, I found one recently on the side of the road, so to say, and I picked it up, but then the battery cover was missing, and the actual battery area was like so far beyond corroded. I was like, I had to toss it.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was in really bad condition. I still have my own personal one that we had. But
got it.
I was like, okay, a second. But then I found out that nobody wants Wii balance boards.
Really?
I tried taking it to Book Off. Because
really?
I cleaned it up a little bit, but I was like, I'm not able to test it this way. I'm not breaking out the Wii to find out if it works. I was like, you guys maybe will give me $1 for it or something, And they're like, no, we don't do them anymore.
Really?
We're done with balance boards.
They must not sell.
Yeah, he says that at one point they were marked down to less, like $5 or less, and they weren't moving. And so they were like, hey, we just can't take them anymore.
Interesting. That must be a flopped peripheral then.
No. Wii Fit was massive.
Yeah, okay.
But like, I think there are just millions and millions of balance boards out there.
Jeez.
And so nobody's really using their Wii anymore. So it's like, what do you do with it?
Right. Wii is kind of in this, as things shift and like retro becomes more expensive and all this, Wii's kind of in that middle limbo right now.
It's still there. And
where it's
kind of modern.
Not valuable yet, but it's not what people are playing either.
Yeah. I do wonder, those consoles in that gen, like the original Xbox, the Wii, the Xbox 360.
Well, the GameCube would be like,
I guess, that would be more Xbox and PS2.
Right.
But I don't know, just kind of that time, like 2001. Well, no, GameCube's pretty big right now. GameCube's hot.
Yeah, GameCube's hitting the retro phase.
And there are some Wii games that are incredibly valuable, especially like the Fire Emblem.
Right, every console's gonna have.
Yeah,
like it's.
But I just don't know if people will have like nostalgia, like the Wii. I mean, you got a lot of stuff to set up to get it working. Yeah, like it's not very plug and play.
There was, I mean, the library is so polluted with shovelware.
Yeah, there's
compared to other consoles. I mean, every console has some,
right?
But the Wii is just.
What's nice is that most shovelware now is like digital only, or like
that's
more
true,
commonly digital now. Like if you go to the Nintendo eShop on Switch, so much junk on there.
Yeah,
like so much garbage. Digital stuff.
I have looked. Yeah, you're right about that. I'm not sure how. Well, I don't know. The Wii is gonna bring back a lot of memories for people because I'm sure a lot of people were little kids at that time.
Definitely.
And it's gonna probably.
Yeah, we were in high school, right. So maybe. So little kids, they're in their 20s now. Yeah. I wonder when they'll get that nostalgia itch and want to play their Wii again.
Yeah. Continuing on here, Disney Infinity. I got for Wii. Okay. Plus 2 of the Disney Infinity pads.
Okay.
And a box of the toys.
Oh, nice.
Like, not very many. It's probably like 8 to 10. I didn't even list them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that's nice that came with, like, all of that junk. Family Game Night 2. Monopoly.
I heard those Family Game Night games are pretty fun.
Really?
Like if you like board games. Yeah. Like classic board games.
I have my Wii U hooked up right now.
Okay.
So I could pop any one of these in. Monopoly, Wii Music.
Oh, Wii Music.
Yeah. Disney Sing It. Chicken Shoot, which is a famously bad shovelware game that Re-Rez did a video on his YouTube channel.
Does it use like a peripheral, like a pointer gun or something?
It uses the Wii remote, so I'm sure you could use the blaster.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, it's not great. No. It's a Flash game.
Okay.
Disney High School Musical. Karaoke Revolution presents American Idol Encore 2.
Dude, could you imagine High School Musical, but like they really went hard on it and made it like a Persona game?
Yeah.
Where you're
you're playing the characters and there's like
the daily routine,
dating and stuff. That would be
like
crazy.
If they really didn't just do like a crappy tie-in game, but like just went super hard on it and just like, I'm gonna make it the most amazing like movie tie-in game ever.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
I know there are instances of like commercial tie-in games like really going the extra mile and being special.
Yeah, there are ones that are like sought out.
Way Forward, I know, did
Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers on Game Boy Advance is notably really good.
Yeah,
like it's its own thing.
Yeah,
it's nothing like the PS2 version of the same title. It's like a top-down isometric.
Okay.
He plays whoever, Legolas or Aragorn. Yeah.
I know I think there's another one on PS2 that's a Lord of the Rings kind of movie tie-in as well. That's like a turn-based RPG, and I've heard really good things about it as well.
Yeah, there are definitely some instances of movie games being really surprisingly good. I'm sure Disney High School Musical is probably
not that game.
Right. So We Play as well.
I remember that game came packed in with like a Wii remote originally.
Probably, yeah.
I was still working at Target, and I remember they had like a bundle that came with a Wii remote. But I'm guessing you didn't get the big box.
No.
You just got
just the part that I really care about.
You definitely have a few games that like I don't have. Yeah, like there's like the Wii Music. I never picked that up. I never picked up Wii Play.
Yeah.
But like with Wii Play, it was like $50, and not only did you get a Wii remote, you also got like a game with it too. So it was like a really good like value proposition.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. If you're gonna buy an extra controller, why not buy that?
Just grab the game to get a free game with it effectively.
Right. Here we go. Rayman Raving Rabbids.
Okay.
and then Rayman Raving Rabbids TV Party.
Okay.
Both on the Wii. A game called Boom Blocks, Rampage Total Destruction.
Nice.
Which I'm happy about. And then a much welcomed another copy of Link's Crossbow Training.
Nice.
And then on GameCube, one game, Madagascar.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nothing to get excited about.
No.
It's like, oh, you got a GameCube game.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so that was the Wii. And then Wii U, just 2 titles. Disney Infinity... Oh, it's 3. Disney Infinity Nintendo Land, which I now have 3 copies of.
Okay.
And then Lego City Undercover.
Oh, I've heard really good things about Lego City Undercover.
Oh, okay.
That did eventually get a Switch port, I want to say, early on in the Switch's life. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But originally, Lego City Undercover was a Wii U exclusive.
Oh, really?
And it, apparently really made, extravagant use of, the gamepad.
Mm. Oh, okay.
It was one of those games that...
the big
yeah,
Wii U controller?
Because you use both in conjunction,
right.
And you would, yeah, it was just, the gameplay was oriented around, that being a vital part of, your tool set,
Cool.
So, I don't know. I never played it, but I remember, Nintendo would showcase that game as, look at this and look at these really cool ideas that developers are thinking that they can only accomplish on...
To showcase their hardware.
Yeah, on our hardware.
That makes sense. So, in addition to all the games I just read off, I did not go and list all the peripherals. It would be way too much. But basically, 5 or 6 Wii blasters, 5 or 6 different looking steering wheels. This is all first party peripherals and third party Chinese knockoff peripherals.
Okay.
A Chinese version of the tennis racket and the golf club, as well as the fishing rod or something.
So I don't think any of those Nintendo ever made.
Right, okay. So those were only third party.
Those were only third party. When I was working at sorry, not to make this about me again, but when I was working at Circuit City, we moved. So, because I was there for one holiday season, and those plastic pieces of junk,
yeah.
People couldn't stop themselves from picking them up.
Really?
Yeah, because they were $3, $4 each,
Right.
And the profit margin was those cost 5 cents,
yeah.
So it was just free money basically.
Yeah, I had too many of that crap.
Yeah.
And a bunch of Wii condoms. The
rubber sleeve
for the Wii remote.
Yeah, because people were breaking their TVs and stuff, so they started shipping those.
And
out.
Not to mention, it feels nicer in your
It's
hand.
more ergonomic. Yeah, with the grip.
A lot of those, as well as a wireless PS3 controller, which I desperately needed.
Okay.
It was not an original DualShock, but it was some third-party thing. Regardless, okay. I don't have a controller for my PS3, and they're really expensive.
DualShock 3 controllers are insanely expensive.
Yeah. Why are they so expensive?
It's a great question. I have 2, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm protecting them. Because to get an authentic DualShock 3, well, you're probably over $100 for a used one now.
Yeah, right.
And sure, there's bootleg ones out there, but even those, like you say, are expensive.
Yeah. So a device that will allow me to play my PS3 is...
What happened to your controller?
I had a blue one, and I let you use it, and then I never got it back. That was 15 years ago.
I remember you were living at my mom's, and you set up your PS3 in our living room.
Yeah.
So I remember you playing Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, Revengeance, yeah.
But...
I don't know.
I have a black and I have a red one.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I don't have you.
This one was blue.
Okay.
Maybe your mom. I don't know where it is.
Maybe when you moved out, it got forgotten.
I've scratched it off my list of owned hardware.
Yeah.
That was decades ago now.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So I got that controller. I got a Wavebird, an official Wavebird.
You got a Wave. With the dongle?
I have the dongle, yes.
Because without the dongle...
Yeah, without the receiver, it's useless.
Yeah. That's cool. I don't have a Wavebird.
Yeah. I'm so
Those
glad.
are fairly valuable too, aren't they?
Yeah, they weren't around very long, and I don't know how many shipped, but I don't think it was that many.
Yeah, if it's in like decent condition and the sticks aren't all busted.
I haven't used it yet, but
$60-$80.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of good stuff with the peripherals for sure. And
probably
Xbox
more
One.
valuable than
a
lot of those games.
Some of these games. And an Xbox One.
A whole unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Xbox One console, the white one.
Okay. I'm trying to remember. That was the one they originally called Scorpio, right?
Yeah, that was the code name for it. Yeah.
Project Scorpio.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Unless that was 360.
No.
Okay.
Because it was Xbox, then Xbox 360, then Xbox One, and now Xbox Series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very original naming conventions from Microsoft there.
Yeah, they got their numbers all out of order.
I don't know what's up with that. But, so Xbox One, which on its own is probably worth, I don't know, $150?
I'm not sure. Maybe 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I spent $300 on everything I just mentioned.
I won't be the one to figure out if it was...
Yeah, I'm not... Yeah, I'm just enjoying it.
Right.
Doesn't really matter. I'm not paying shipping on anything.
Sure. But where does this all go at home?
Goes right here. Okay, so...
You have a magic lunchbox?
So the lunchbox that you're looking at, well, this is a recent purchase.
Okay.
And if you look at the tag, you'll probably figure out where it's from.
No.
Look at this.
Oh.
Or you can look
at this must be from...
you can look at the price tag.
It must be from Tijuana.
Yeah, it would be from Tijuana. And it does
have... It's officially licensed.
It is officially licensed. And it feels like they manufactured it to blend in with the kind of merch you would usually find in Tijuana, which is interesting. But anyways, yeah, so what I have in here is something that I noticed in one of these lots.
Okay. That
I saw this thing and knew I needed to buy the lot.
It's I'm not... just I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Okay, so wow, this is like the moment from Pulp Fiction where they open it up and there's like this shining gold light coming out of it.
Melts your face off like Indiana Jones. So this is not anything that you would expect.
Okay.
But it's something just I had to have it.
Okay.
Check this out.
What?
Yeah.
This is a bootleg gold version?
Yeah. In the box with the manual and the cartridge.
Okay, can I open it?
Yeah. Open the top though. Yeah.
Is this on a Game Boy Advance cartridge?
Yeah.
Pokemon Gold version on Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, I saw that, and I actually used it to talk the guy down.
I'm like, hey, this is a bootleg.
Yeah, your stuff's fake.
This isn't authentic. What the heck?
Yeah, full printed manual.
So this must be like some... What?
I don't know. I haven't done that deep of an investigation, but if you look at the back, it does look just like the actual Game Boy.
Right, but the manual, it looks like a totally different game. It looks like some Japanese game that got like...
Wait, what?
A fan translation and reskinned. Look at the screenshots.
You're right. Yeah, gold version, my butt. This is some other... I need to pop this thing in now and look. What is that? Like, this is like Jade version ported to Game Boy Advance.
I've got I've got my analog pocket just nearby. We can check it out. Before you leave, let's pop that in and see what's going on.
Yeah, I had to have it. I'm like, yes.
Wow, you know what's funny? And this was gold, just like I said it was going to be.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah.
It's going to be gold shining inside.
I see what you mean. You weren't wrong. I should have picked up on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. There's like a whole world of bootleg Pokemon games.
Yeah. Once you've collected everything, like, this is where you turn.
This is where you got to go.
And then also, like, this is like Uncharted. Like, these are like the hidden cards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the Pokemon sets. You know, because we don't know what exists. We don't. So this is like science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know what the title screen looks like.
Yeah.
There's so much I need to...
Yeah, we need to check that out.
Like, has this been documented online? Has it been dumped? Like, what is it?
No clue.
Yeah.
And then weirdly, the bottom is taped in like the wrong position.
Oh yeah, they didn't like do the tuck like it's supposed to be. They put double-sided tape.
But I know the guy I bought it from didn't do this. I can tell it's like whoever
probably bought it at a swap meet or something.
Yeah,
now that's not from Tijuana too, right?
No,
Just the lunchbox.
No. Yeah, this was bought in Fullerton,
California.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where you go to get your bootlegs.
Bootleggers right there.
Bootlegger breweries right there.
Yeah. So that is it for my buying.
I don't think we've ever had a 30-minute what has one person been buying segment before.
And don't forget I also bought Hades.
And he bought Hades, everyone.
Right.
Okay, so I won't live up to that epic segment that we just had here. But I do have 2 games that arrived recently. One of which is God of War 3 for PS3, which I already owned, but I owned it as part of the PS3 Trilogy Collection.
Oh, okay.
That had all 3 games on like 2 discs or something like that.
Right.
But I'm going to an event this weekend, IGN Live, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the people who's going to be there as like a guest, like an advertised guest, is the director of God of War 3.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what, if I'm gonna have the opportunity to run into him, I'd rather not have the trilogy collection signed, because the box art is like divided in like 3. It just, it's not ideal. And so I figured there's a perfect spot right here.
It feels all bargainy.
It feels bargain binny. So I thought, it was like $8, like free shipping on eBay. So I was like, okay, let's do it.
Easy. Easy.
So yeah, God of War 3 on PS3. And then I had mentioned that I had ordered a copy of Assassin's Creed Rogue remastered for PS4. Because I've been in kind of an Assassin's Creed mood lately.
Right.
But I haven't opened it up yet. But something interesting, and I'm not you notice how it says remastered, and then it says remasterise?
Remasterize.
Well, remasterize, but there's like the E has an accent mark.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's because it was like a Canadian.
It might be like a dual language thing. Like you see on the back of some games have like multiple languages for the fine print.
Right. So like, for example, because if a game is sold in Canada and it's sold in like Quebec, it's like required by the Quebec government to have like French.
Canadian French.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in Ubisoft is a French Canadian company.
Where are they located?
They have a lot of stuff going on in Canada, and they also have stuff going on in France.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, like, I don't know if one headquarters is more headquartery than the other, but I know they have 2 main headquarters.
In Canada and France.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so, normally they don't do something like this, but I think because this was like a smaller title rather than printing 2 different covers, I think the French-Canadian cover was basically sent everywhere.
Gotcha.
So that's why it says remasterize under remastered.
Gotcha.
So yeah, at first I was like, did I get like the wrong edition? It does have the ESRB like logo.
Right, yeah.
But I looked online and everything I saw, they all looked like this.
Gotcha.
So it just happened to be that in North America, the Canadian subtitle is translated there in French.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not something I've seen.
No, not at all. I mean, like, I'm used to looking on the back and like a lot of text being in multiple languages, but not the front cover normally.
And I've seen the same game, but one version having languages that the other doesn't. I don't know. Yeah,
I think that used to be a thing more often, and now I feel like most games just launch with all the languages built in on day one, So that way, instead of shipping 9 different SKUs, it's just one SKU for the world,
Right. Which I don't know why things didn't begin. Things did begin that way, and then they turned into this. And
yeah, it used to be, and it still happens sometimes that like new languages get patched into the game over time, you know. But like for English, Spanish, French, and like probably Japanese,
right?
Any.
Korean?
I feel like those are like day one languages.
Korean
more now. German probably more now. Chinese is becoming more common.
Right. I know Final Fantasy 15 has a Russian like language pack.
Yeah.
That's like free, and it's like 30 gigs.
Oh my god.
It's huge. Yeah.
So yeah, you do see them become. I mean, which is smart. Like why? Well, it's smart for like the North American audience who's like. How many people in North America do really need those extra 30 gigs?
Yeah.
You know, on their hard drive if they don't actually plan to use them.
Right.
But yeah, I would imagine it would be, you know, if you're in Russia, you kind of feel like a second-class citizen when you gotta like...
Right. Yeah, learn English just to play games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people... I've seen stories online where like people credit like games like Pokemon
for
like,
teaching them
English.
Yeah, that's cool.
I always I was a strong reader as a child, and I kind of always have credited not only my mom, but like Pokemon as well, just because there's a lot of text and a lot of big words, you know, and like you have to put context clues together, like when you're reading like the name of an ability and things, you know, it is like a game that does like stimulate a young mind, I would say,
for sure, definitely.
What have I been playing, though? I'm only going to talk about one game this week, and it's Tunic. Tunic was a game that was originally, I think, an Xbox first game. I think there was like a period of maybe a year or two of exclusivity for that one. But it did come out on PlayStation 5 and maybe Switch as well. And I think sometime last year or maybe earlier it was earlier this year. It was a PlayStation Plus monthly title. Yeah. So included with your PlayStation Plus subscription. And so Tunic is a top-down, like old school Zelda style game. So like you start off with no weapon, you find a sword or a stick, and then, you know, you swing it around, you cut bushes, there's enemies. Right. It's tough as nails, much like the original Zelda was. Okay. Like, it is not forgiving, but post-release, I guess it was like a massive complaint that the difficulty was so high, so they added in like a...
Easy mode?
Not an easy mode per se, but a no-fail mode. So...
What?
So basically you can't die.
What?
Unless you toggle the no-fail mode off.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I mean, I would like to see you sit down with the game for 10 minutes.
I'm not. Yeah, I get it.
It's like Dark Souls level, like
difficulty.
Yeah, like it's. I mean, I replayed the original Zelda before Tears of the Kingdom came out last year. Yeah. And I played it with like save states because I just don't have I am not the retro gaming expert. I'm not the die and restart my whole playthrough. Like, there's just not enough time in my life to be that person anymore like I was when I was a kid. Right. And so there was no way I was getting through that game without save states. Right. Like, I would walk into a dungeon room and I would save.
Well, I mean, you can save your game in Zelda.
Right. It involves plugging a second controller in and...
well, no.
Yeah, the only way to save in the original Zelda game is to die. Unless you have a second controller plugged into the NES, then you can do like a button combination on the start screen that allows you to save your game. Right. Or the menu screen. Right. The inventory screen. It's like a really complicated like save thing that they have going on. But yeah, you're right. You can save your game in Zelda. But it does require you to die for some reason in order to save your game.
Yeah, that was a weird way of doing it.
Yeah, it's like, well, you don't ever want to die,
right?
Because that game has a death counter in it too.
They've had I was actually massively disappointed when Zelda got rid of the death counter, because it had been in every game all the way up until whenever it was they got rid of it. I think it might have been Skyward Sword.
Yeah, it was somewhere in the GameCube or Wii era that the death counter went away. So back to Tunic though. So this is a game I'm playing on the no fail mode.
Yeah,
I just am.
Okay.
And I've accepted that I'm not gonna beat that game unless I'm using the no fail mode.
Gotcha.
There are times where I do turn the no fail mode off, just to try my hand at things. And there's some instance I'm using a guide to help me find some of the secrets and things like that as well.
Right.
And it'll suggest okay, turn off no fail mode, throw a bomb and kill yourself so you'll respawn back over at this other place on the other side of the map, rather than spending 20 minutes backtracking to it or something like that.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so Tunic, it's got this adorable aesthetic, kind of it's 3D, it's not 2D, but it is top down, but the camera does pivot and shift around and get dynamic when interesting things are happening on the screen.
That's cool.
It feels very fantasy at first, but it also veers off into some weird sci-fi and a little bit of I don't want to call it horror, but there are some weird creepy moments and some very grindy, crunchy sound effects that are not pleasant, that kind of make you ooh, what's going on. There's this whole praying aspect in the game.
Okay.
Where you hold X and the character will start praying, and it'll they're depending on things you're standing at near, the prayer will have an effect on different objects in the environment. And so you can use it to activate shrines, and then these weird pillars that I have no idea what they're doing, but I keep lifting these massive pillars out of the ground when I stand next and pray to them. The whole game is in a fake language.
Right.
So there's no direction. You when you're playing the game, you'll sometimes come across pages of the game's manual.
Really?
Yeah, kind of a fourth wall breaking thing.
Oh, as an item in the game?
Yeah, as an item in the game.
Okay.
And so you can see the pages, and even the manual is written in another language.
Right.
And there's context clues that you can kind of get. You'll be there'll be a little crude drawing on the manual, as if a person actually wrote on the manual, and you're supposed to use that to find some secret hidden within the game.
Gotcha.
You were gonna ask something, it sounded like.
Oh yeah, I was, the praying aspect reminded me of early Harvest Moon games.
Oh, okay.
What does the praying do, I guess?
It activates doors. It activates these shrines where you can be teleported somewhere. There's no story. There is story happening, but it's all inferred. There's no dialogue boxes popping up, and you're not hearing characters talk back and forth.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. It's all just world building, kind of player piecing it together. It's also open world like the original Zelda game was, where you can go anywhere you want.
Gotcha.
Now you might require some tools that you don't have access to yet to get to some other places. Right. Much like the original Zelda. But it's crazy. Yeah. It's it keeps blowing my mind, and visually it's just so it's just stunning. Every time I walk into a new area or come up against a new boss, I'm just wow, this game it's crazy. I don't know how these people did it. My understanding is a tiny team.
Yeah.
4 or 5 people over the course of 6-7 years, something like that. I think Tunic was announced back during the early Xbox One days. And so
I had heard of it for sure.
Yeah. You're this little fox character, and you are wearing a green tunic. It's so heavy. It wears its Zelda influence on its, even the manual
Yeah.
Has like those like 90s like Zelda looking drawings inside it, you know?
Yeah, right.
And the other crazy thing about this game is that there are constantly moments where I don't know how you're expected to know what to do. I'm guessing it has to do with the manual. But you will have to, using the D-pad, which doesn't do anything. Like you can't move the character with the D-pad, but the guide will be like, okay, go stand in this one particular area and input up, left, right, down, up, left, down, up, right, left. And like, I'm not kidding you, like some of them are like 15, 20, 30 inputs long.
That's crazy.
And then all of a sudden a chest will spawn.
Wow.
Yeah. There was one input I did last night that was 100 inputs long.
Wow.
Just to unlock the front cover of the manual.
Jeez. I mean, I know how to program that.
Yeah.
And it's not something I would want to do. like reading that input would suck.
It's crazy. This is a game where I imagine when it first came out, there must have been like a collective of players who were like all communicating with each other and just being like, I found this out. Yeah. It must have been like really special to like be a part of it when it first started.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like then together they like pieced like everything together and they were like able to beat the game, you know? Because I just can't imagine one person on their own figuring out this whole game without like
it'd be a lifetime.
No joke. You could play this game for 6 months, 3 hours a day, and probably not figure out how to like
walk right by
how to do everything.
Answers.
Oh my god, the amount of hidden doors, like. It'll look like a house and like a cliff are like right next to each other.
Yeah.
But actually you can like go right between the two of them and find this hidden area behind it. Like, behind the staircase that you can't actually even see, there's like this whole, you know, labyrinth that like opens up into a dungeon.
Yeah, wow.
There's so much of it.
Yeah.
It's like the world is like layered too. It's not just like flat.
Oh, okay.
So like there's bridges and then you can like later get under the bridge and there's like a hole and
right.
It's something. Yeah, I don't know how they did it. How they did it. It's mind blowing.
It's crazy.
I almost have a hard time recommending it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a game of riddles. Like basically riddles are the name of the game.
Yeah. I mean if you're someone limited on time, you got to play with a guide.
Yeah.
If you're down for a crazy adventure that you might rack your brain and pull your hair out, then maybe jump into Tunic, you know, without a guide.
I would also say if you're someone who needs to get everything, you'd better play with a guide.
Oh yeah, you would have to.
You're going to walk right past everything.
The guide I'm using is kind of a not quite a speed run guide, but it does it like gets you all the major collectibles that are tied to like achievements and trophies.
Okay.
But he's definitely like walking past chests and stuff and just like ignoring them. Yeah. Like if they're not necessary to his playthrough, the guide that I'm following is just like zipping right past them. Yeah. And it's kind of, I appreciate the guide and the guy who's like, dude, it's a video guide. And he's like British and he has this like commentary that's like going off there and he's just constantly cracking me up. Anyway, so I really appreciate his guide.
I have a very brief Seraphim update this week. Oh, are you done? Sorry.
No, yeah, I am. Tunic, okay. Yeah, like I recommend it, but I also
recommend with caution.
Yeah, because it will this would definitely be a game where I'd be sitting there trying to figure out what to do next, and after hours and hours, I'd probably be getting all hot and bothered because I'm not getting anywhere, you know. So, but yeah, if you're a retro gamer who likes those kinds of challenges, couldn't recommend Tunic more.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, the secrets in the Zelda games always stood out as really memorable. So a game made of that is
centered around all the secrets. Like Zelda has secrets. This is like the whole game is a secret.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And it's deceptive. It's so deceptive with how like cheery and like charming it looks,
mm-hmm.
because then it does have this like brutal
you wouldn't expect
difficulty to it. I was like, oh, usually like Zelda like games that come out,
mm-hmm.
like, they're usually accessible to a lot of players,
Right.
This is,
the difficulty is, not some of the Zelda games are actually like really just streamline easy.
Yeah, they can be. Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like the visuals probably reflect that more, and then you're playing Zelda 1 or something akin to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. It sounds interesting. I'm tempted to play it. I don't know that I'd sit there. I got like real projects to do,
Yeah, it's hard to like, I mean, I feel like if there is a game worth giving that amount of time to, Tunic could be that game.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like you have all these like dumb time sink games that just have frivolous things going on.
RNG stuff.
Yeah, like this is like you need pen and paper when you play it, and you need to like study the manual pages that you find in the game. Like it's crazy. It's really cool. Yeah. It does have a physical edition out there too. I am like inspired to grab a copy for like my hard copy collection.
Yeah. Awesome. If I do pick it up, I'll obviously buy a physical.
I mean, honestly, I don't play a lot of the free games that PlayStation Plus gives out. Most of them often don't interest me. There's maybe one or two a year that I'll like, oh, okay, let's see what's going on here.
Yeah.
And this is the first one this year that I've been inspired to check out. I was like, oh, Tunic, I had my eye on that for a while. Like, I guess it's free.
Free,
in
quote
quotes.
unquote. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, keep us posted with Tunic.
Yeah, I'll probably wrap up my playthrough tonight or tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's following the guide. It's not
that
incredibly long.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So, Seraphim update. Last week I talked about how my computer was on the table, opened up.
Yeah. Surgery.
I have put in a new power supply. It seems to be working. The issue hasn't happened again.
Okay.
And so what I was thinking, or what I am thinking, thinking more now, is that the new components being more powerful and newer probably required a higher voltage.
What do you have your numbers for what the old power supply was and the new one?
I know my RAM. No. Oh, the power supply. No. It had good reviews.
Okay, and it was strong.
5 stars. There's your numbers.
Okay.
So
you buy it online or did you go? Somewhere?
I bought it online, and then now I'm realizing though that my CPU is still the original CPU.
Oh wow!
So the graphics card has been replaced, and the RAM sticks have been replaced, and the motherboard has been replaced, and now the power supply has been replaced, but the CPU is still the original.
Like it's almost kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're the last little piece of that original guy.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's still going, still ticking. I don't want to take any risks, so I'll probably replace it soon.
Yeah.
But buying a power supply, I can't just soup up my computer all at once. I can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
So, another time, I'll run him to his, limit. But, seems to be working. I'm not ready to call it 100% fixed yet, just because stuff could start happening.
Was there, it powered on, but did something funny happen?
No, it looks normal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but, you gotta use it for a week or two to really know it's fixed. So, I haven't gotten back to the game, but I did get that resolved.
So, resuming soon.
All
right.
Yep. You want to...
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Yeah. So now we're going to do our t-shirt segment, in which we're not looking at a t-shirt, we're looking at a hoodie today.
I'm wearing a hoodie today.
Taylor's got his hoodie. And this is a hoodie that I remember from high school. He used to wear it every day. It is brown. It has a Nintendo logo on the upper right breast area.
I'm glad you called it a breast.
Yes.
Because back then...
I wasn't going to call it pecs.
I definitely have breast.
And so this is a brown hoodie, and if we flip it around...
What color is the Nintendo logo?
Oh, it's like orange.
Yeah, which is very... You don't ever see the Nintendo logo in orange.
I suppose it may have been red like years ago.
No, it was definitely orange back then.
Okay.
It's got like a fall kind of vibe going on.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
All right, and then on the back...
Very, very distressed. We have a big square.
This is probably authentically distressed on top of like fake distress.
Naturally distressed.
Yeah, naturally distressed at this point.
We have a big square with the super mushroom kind of vector art going on, which, the head of the super mushroom is red and white, and we had very angular almost outline, and then it says magic underneath that. So magic mushroom, I
guess. Let's break down the implications behind this graphic here. So like Rick said, it's got the classic Mario like super mushroom, but then it's surrounded by this like sunshine, like sunbeams are coming out from behind it.
Right. Also very vector and solid color field.
And then the fact that it says magic.
Yeah, which almost, it's got like a hippie type font to it.
I agree.
But it also kind of resembles Magic the Gathering.
It doesn't it? The M is like a magic M. But what the heck what does this have to do with Nintendo? The word magic and Mario. Mario is not
magic.
It's not a magic mushroom.
Right.
Magic mushroom is usually a reference to like drugs.
Right. Which I can only infer.
Now, keep in mind, this is a circa 2004, according to the tag, Hot Topic Nintendo licensed hoodie.
That might be the factor where...
Yeah, so Hot Topic was more edgy back then, before the Justin Bieber era began.
Right.
Like, you went into Hot Topic and you were scared to walk in there.
Yeah, it was intimidating. It was
mile-high mohawks.
It was actually intimidating.
Yeah.
It had, like you said, mile-high mohawks, piercings everywhere. Tattoos everywhere. It did not resemble the Hot Topic of today.
No.
And so it does make sense for something like this to maybe be among the wearers.
I guess at the time, Nintendo was in their Who Are You marketing phase, which was a little more edgy. And so maybe they signed off on this jacket.
Youngsters aren't going to know what we're talking about.
Magic mushrooms. Ha ha ha.
So Nintendo Power really kind of kicked off this sort of marketing campaign for Nintendo. It was Nintendo, but their magazine kind of facilitated it. And where the slogan became, "Who are you?" And, usually art associated with this campaign would have the faces of all the different key Nintendo characters and that kind of thing. And so, considering that was going on at this time and Hot Topic, like, collaborative merch.
The tribal tattoo Game Boy Advance SP was a thing at this time.
That's right, Yeah, so Nintendo had a little bit of a rebellious, edgy phase.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the market they were going after.
Teenagers.
I think it was, like, who are you? You're one of these characters.
Right, because, the whole identity thing and associated
They had, like, commercials where, like, people were playing, like, Game Boy in church and stuff like that, as an act of rebellion.
Right.
All kinds.
It was crazy to look back on that.
Yeah. And then they like course corrected hard because this is Game Boy Advance, this is GameCube era, and then 3 years from now they turn to the very family friendly Wii era,
extremely family friendly,
where they like pivot so hard away from like anything like mature, right, and they end up alienating like the gamers they were courting during this time.
Right. And at that same time, or nowadays I should say, they started allowing more mature content on their platforms.
Yeah.
But their first party stuff scaled way back into being for kids, by their own admission.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting shifts. You know. So yeah, you want to talk about mine?
Yes. Okay, I'm having deja vu because I swear you've worn this exact shirt just in a different color T-shirt before.
No, you know what? You know what? I got you yours.
Yeah, I have it. I think it's in a drawer over there.
All right.
But yeah, so it's a white plain T-shirt, and I swear it's the same graphic. It's got the Mario Kart, not the official Mario Kart logo, but it's got like a vintagey vibe. Mario's in this sort of like gradient yellow to orange to red. And then the word kart is also in a gradient, but it's in blue to like baby blue. And then it's got a checkered flag like triangle behind it. And then you have just like kind of a classic looking like SNES-esque like Mario Kart like key art sort of character art imagery. And he's got a bunch of like smoke and it looks like he's like drifting at the same time.
Right.
And
which as you do in Mario Kart.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna pull that shirt. Talk about your shirt for a second.
So yeah, this is one that I purchased later than the other Mario Kart shirt I wore in a recent episode, but that shirt was distinctively orange or red, some variant of red.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so that one says since '92.
Okay. All right, yeah, you're right.
It is. It might this decal might actually be the same art.
Yeah, it looks.
But the tires are black in that one, and they're gray.
They're gray here. How? Yeah, it's the same art, but maybe like.
And the font is totally different.
It is.
You have Mario and then Kart, and so it is a different design.
It is.
It might recycle some of the same.
Yeah, there's some element.
Yeah.
The smoke is a little. Oh, yeah. It's like this whole the smoke and the Mario on the cart is the same, but yeah, there's like a slightly different like filter that they maybe ran it through, or just the printing came out a little darker than that one. Because yeah, this looks a little more vibrant, and yours is a little more muted.
Right.
I would say.
Yeah. So interesting.
So
both confirmedly licensed Nintendo shirts.
Not bootleg.
No.
Are you still the tag on it?
This one, no, actually didn't have the mushroom tag that one had.
Okay.
But it did have the Nintendo seal sticker.
Okay.
Which is, I have. I keep
the
those.
sticker? Yeah. Yeah, just slap it in a little sticker book or something.
Yep.
Okay.
So let's get into the news.
We got one like news story and then one kind of recap of PlayStation's event last week.
Yes.
So we'll start with the news story.
Yep. Our favorite company in the games industry.
Which, when Rick says that sarcastically, that we have a few favorite companies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we do.
But this one's about Twitch.
Yes.
So CNBC broke the news that Twitch, the video game streaming platform, which is also an Amazon-owned company, would be terminating its safety advisory council members. And as a brief recap, we've talked about Twitch before, but if you live under a rock, Twitch is a video streaming platform.
You would literally have to live under a rock.
Yeah. It's a video streaming platform where creators and publishers and developers and streamers can basically stream their video games, playing video games, announcements of video games.
A lot of esports personalities do come from this space.
Right. And yeah, like events wise, most events use Twitch to host their events on it and their live events.
Right.
Twitch has they've opened up a whole new segment of content on Twitch with a just chatting channel, where there's like other things going on Twitch that we won't try to unpack here today. Yeah. But needless to say, some of those just chatting things and some stuff going on in gaming created this need for Twitch Twitch felt the need to create the Safety Advisory Council back in May of 2020. So what is the Safety Advisory Council? Twitch's website describes it this way. The Twitch Safety Advisory Council was formed in May of 2020 to enhance Twitch's approach to issues of trust and safety. The council guides decisions made at Twitch by contributing their experience, expertise, and belief in Twitch's mission of empowering communities to create together. It is composed of online safety experts and Twitch creators who have a deep understanding of Twitch, its content, and its community. Each member of the council is carefully selected based on their familiarity with the Twitch community and their relevant personal and professional experiences.
Okay, so let me respond to that long description.
Okay.
So that tells me not at all what they do. Really, it's a bunch of happy talk. So that could tell me that maybe they regulate, the safety of the user who's streaming, if they're climbing a tree or doing something unsafe or doing something illegal while they're streaming.
There's more on the website. I don't have the whole entire website here. And it sounds like they had like kind of a little fact, like what do they review like individual cases? And Twitch said no. They're there to help guide like larger, broader decisions dealing with like online safety, harassment, things like that.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I figured.
Right.
And that's what I was going to get to. These are the people who basically censor, like sensitive or insensitive, whatever you want to call it, content. Edgy stuff.
Well, okay, so Twitch, I mentioned a minute ago that Twitch has this Just Chatting channel, which took off in 2020. I really want to say is when the whole Just Chatting phenomenon exploded, like during the pandemic when people couldn't go out and stuff.
I feel like it started a little before that.
I'm sure it did earlier, but I think it like got to like a crazy point where like Twitch was like saying women can't wear this, men can't stream without their shirt off.
Yeah, I know Twitch got pretty like aggressive, yeah.
And so I think they brought in these people to maybe help say Twitch, maybe you're overreacting with this one or you're underreacting with this one. Again, this group, some of them were like social scientists, some of them were like streamers, some of them were, people at different companies.
Yeah. This would also be the team that probably regulated political talk and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know much about Twitch.
Banning users and stuff for comments.
Like I said, on the website it says that they didn't... it sounds like these people didn't do a whole lot beyond when there was like a major like policy stuff being written.
Okay.
Like they weren't like individually looking at people's cases.
Right. But I'm saying they're responsible for creating the policies that regulated that.
Yeah. But Twitch has had a change of heart. In early May of this year, or just like, less than a month ago, the 9 people who compose the Safety Advisory Council were called into a meeting and informed that Twitch would no longer require their services and they would only be paid through the end of May. So this was a paid position.
Yeah.
I'm guessing fairly big bucks because like these people were like touted very like highly. As,
these are policy writers. They would be overpaid.
With the Just Chatting channel, I guess let's briefly talk about it.
Yeah.
There is this segment of the Just Chatting channel where women are basically just chatting.
Yeah.
But they're chatting in like various stages of maybe not undressed, but maybe like you can be in a pool, so they're wearing like a bikini, or they're doing workouts, and you can they angle their cameras in very specific ways.
They dress very intentionally,
right?
And with certain channels and their streams. You also have like body painting and stuff like that going on, where the woman is getting effectively naked, but is covered in paint, and stuff like that.
So we're not here to come down.
No, I'm not judging these people. That's fine.
But, some people do question its place
on a
at
gaming
Twitch.
on a gaming streaming site.
Yeah, because you have like children or underage people that use these websites.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think to access some of these channels now, I think they are like age gated.
Yeah, yeah. There are like age restricted channels.
But basically, the reason why people would want to do that on Twitch is because people subscribe to them, and like maybe they do a live stream. It's like, hey, if I get 100 new subscribers today, I'll do a dance. You know,
yeah, right.
I'll do something like that.
Right.
You know,
right.
And so, and sure, sometimes they play games.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
I mean, anyone with a channel should,
on
you
Twitch.
know, in their own interest.
Right. But yeah, so it became like a hot topic. Like people, like Twitch wasn't sure if they should like ban this outright, if they should be more lenient with it. You know, as like, because on one hand it's like you're coming down on women if you crack down on them,
right.
But on the other hand, if you're too lenient, then it's like how far can these people go? Because some of these people were really pushing
it.
The envelope,
having very obvious accidents happen.
Yeah, like oops,
yeah.
You know, that fell out,
right.
You
And
know?
that kind of thing.
And using it to promote like explicit content found on other websites.
Yeah, they would always provide their links. In certain circles, not all of them would do that, but some notable ones did.
And you know, a lot of these people who are supporting these streamers, you know, are under some kind of assumption that like they think that maybe they have a chance to.
Well, we'll go with what the internet calls them. You know, it calls them simps.
Yeah.
And I mean, that whole situation is sad to look at from a distance.
Yeah.
You know, and it is destructive to, you know, men on a social level.
Right.
You know, and the woman too, but she's doing pretty good. Yeah. You know, her and her boyfriend are probably taking vacations.
Husband
with all those donation bucks.
Yeah.
But I personally, you'll always see me erring on the side of less censorship and less regulation. Right. You're always just going to see me go in that direction. So I don't see Twitch finding their balls effectively and getting rid of these guys as being a bad thing. I really don't.
No, I think
bad things could come of it.
Sure.
But
I think all kinds of people have thrown away thousands of dollars life savings.
Yes.
Like bad things have already happened.
100%. 1,000%.
I mean, I think there's instances where, and some of these streamers have, you know, had, you know, long-term effects happen to them because of like how they've had to promote themselves and what they feel like. Maybe they're doing it because the money is so good, but it doesn't feel good to actually do it.
I mean, getting paid well doesn't protect you from developing.
I mean, I hear stories about some of these people like putting away $1 million a month. Yeah. You know, just from not the ad revenue plus the subscription revenue. Right. It's like
that doesn't protect you from psychological harm. No. But yeah, it's hard to feel bad for someone who's
relationships in their real life can go sour because of it.
Right.
It's, you know, you got to know what you're signing up for.
Right. And you got to, I mean, you're in control of your own channel.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can only feel bad so far, and I do. And I recognize that, like, yeah, making a lot of money doesn't protect you from the psychological harm of what you're doing to make that money. But you're not doing it against your will. Right. You own your channel. If you want to tone it back a little bit.
I have heard of circumstances where the men in their life kind of do
instigate that.
Or like want them to be on there. Wanting them to be generating
pressure
money.
them to do it. Yeah. I'm sure that happens. I don't know of any particular instances of that, but I don't doubt that it 100% happens. But yeah, I mean, I think that while these guys, and this is my opinion, but while this safety advisory council has existed, I think they have overstepped things with the amount of crazy draconian policies that they've implemented and the kind of bans that I've seen happen as a result of the policies implemented by this team. So I'm not too sad to see them go.
Well, the Safety Advisory Council isn't exactly going anywhere. Twitch provided a statement to CNBC via email telling them they would be bringing on a new group of diverse Twitch ambassadors to take on the job of the Safety Advisory Council. CNBC asked, would you be paying these people? And Twitch declined to comment. Mm-hmm. So Twitch is probably, looking for ways to save money. And no doubt these people will probably be paying who knows how much.
Overpaid. I'm going to call them overpaid.
Probably overpaid to check in once a month, for a meeting and on Zoom.
And copy and paste some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they decided, okay, well, let's save $500,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And instead, let's pay a bunch of Twitch streamers in t-shirts and mugs with our brand on it. Yeah. Hey, come review cases for us, for free.
Right.
But, maybe, you'll get invited to our events and we'll send you a cool t-shirt that only you get with your name on it.
Right. I could see the community doing a better job.
I mean, there were already Twitch ambassadors involved in the Safety Advisory Council. Right. So these would just be, I guess, wholly controlled by Twitch ambassadors.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. Rather than the scientists and doctors and whoever else was involved with it prior.
Yeah, right.
And kind of unrelated, but like I said, Twitch is, trying to find ways to cut costs where they can. Today, they announced that subscriptions would be going up. Mm-hmm. So like we mentioned earlier, you can subscribe to an individual streamer's channel the way you would subscribe to Netflix effectively, where you pay a monthly fee to that channel.
Right.
And they get, I don't know the exact breakdown, but it's Twitch gets half and the streamer gets half.
Right.
So normally that's $4.99 a month right now.
Mm-hmm. It's been that way since it rolled out, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to wonder if at one point it was $3.99, but maybe it's always been $4.99, at least here in the U.S.
Right.
Well, Twitch announced that starting, I think, at the end of June or at the beginning of July, that's now jumping up 20% to $5.99 a month. Mm-hmm. So doesn't sound $1 more, doesn't sound like a lot, but 20% when you think about it in that way, that's a pretty steep increase.
Yeah. That's $12 more a year.
Yeah, and some people are subscribed to
multiple
10 channels, you know?
Right.
And of course Twitch is framing this as oh, it's more money for your favorite creators, so they can keep making great content for you.
Right, that's why you're doing it, right?
Right. What they don't mention is that it's also more money for them. So in some countries such as Norway, Slovenia, and Slovakia, the price of a monthly sub is increasing 40% or more.
So how why those guys?
I don't know why they're being targeted. I saw this breakdown of all the countries. Some of them were only going up 10%. The U.S. is kind of squarely in the middle at 20%.
Yeah.
But then there are a few countries that are in the 30s and 40 percentiles.
Yeah. But why? What? Just make it 20%.
My guess is that currencies have changed in value in comparison to the dollar where they originally were.
Right, but 20% is still 20%, regardless of what your currency's worth.
Right, but I'm just guessing Twitch was well, these people are getting a bargain over here in Slovenia.
Yeah, we're going to shut that down.
Yeah, no more bargain for you. You're going to pay the rate equivalent to the US dollar now.
Right, yeah.
So that's what I think probably happened there.
God.
So yeah, Twitch is looking to generate more income. I do wonder what's going on at Twitch.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, there's been all kinds of weird decisions over there. Mm-hmm. It's not really
it's like they decide to go in one direction and then completely 180 the next 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't
Ever since Amazon bought them, I feel like it's just trying to find a way to just make too much money, I guess. It's not enough to just be profitable. You got to be
you have to make more. You have to make the shareholders more than you did last year.
Yeah, and if you don't, you're fired.
Yeah, right. And at some point, there's going to be a ceiling, so I don't know how that works.
Yeah. So we're at the ceiling? Just like with Xbox with Game Pass. They've hit the ceiling.
Right.
So now they're like, okay, let's put our games on PlayStation.
So rather than just stay there and make money forever, they shut it down.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they haven't done that yet on Xbox.
Right, yeah. But I just mean in general.
But yeah, that does happen where it's like, well, we're not getting more money, so I guess why are we doing this anymore?
It's done, it's over, it's worthless. Shut it down.
You don't have to stay here, but you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to mention about Twitch?
I think that pretty much covers it. It's weird seeing them go from having the kind of show floor exhibits they had at the past E3 and those conventions that we've both seen, giving away free energy drinks, having crazy photo ops and stuff like that, having like whole dance floors.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Well, believe it or not, they have like multiple Twitch cons around the world.
Yeah, Twitch con is a thing, yeah.
Like it's not just in the US either. I think like there's one in Australia. But I think what it comes down to is like a weird, simp meet and greet, kind of thing. Yeah. Like, who come meet,
I can see it devolving.
Whoever, it's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Whatever female Twitch streamer is.
Yeah, they have a booth or they have like a meet and greet hour, that kind of a thing. I want to say they probably also have like, equipment vendors and stuff like that there for people who are like actually serious.
Ambassadors and stuff you can talk to about policies and stuff that affects you.
Yeah, they have panels and things like that.
I'm just going to disclaimer, we're not pigeonholing everybody on Twitch or everyone who uses Twitch. This is, only a certain portion of the Twitch users that we're talking about with this stuff. Yeah. But yeah, TwitchCon, sounds good on paper, but I can totally see it becoming that. Yeah. Anyways, moving on.
Okay. We're going to talk about PlayStation's State of Play presentation that was on May 30th, 2024. I think that was last Thursday.
I think you're right.
Okay, so State of Play, we talked about one last September, shortly after starting this podcast.
Right. It's every quarter, I believe, right?
I feel like they skip sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, because I don't think we've talked about one since. There may have been one earlier this year, but there was like nothing noteworthy.
That's probably why they skip, is because they don't have enough
there's not enough juice to talk about, to squeeze.
Right. All right.
So the first thing the presentation opened up with is this new game, Concord, which is coming out for PS5 and PC. This is developed by Firewalk Studios, which is a first-party internal studio that PlayStation owns. It's directed by Ryan Ellis, who worked on Destiny 1 and 2. And this is a 5v5 first-person competitive hero shooter. Yeah. So instantly, I'm kind of turned off.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you're feeling that way, because I was gonna go in on this. Okay. First of all, this was the first 10 minutes.
Oh God, it was so long.
This was the first 10 minutes of the presentation, of the 30-minute presentation, and it was.
It opens up with, I think it was about 15 minutes, and the first 10 minutes is like a CGI cinematic.
Yeah, but with the quirky characters and the basically just Marvel characters that aren't Marvel characters.
Reminded me of like knockoff Guardians of the Galaxy.
Straight up with the quirky attitude, sitting in a tavern talking different alien races. And it was very Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. Very Marvel. And then we had another Marvel game.
We'll get there.
Down the list. But yeah, I was immediately like... And the fact that it's another first-person hero shooter, just like...
Overwatch.
Yeah, Overwatch.
I mean, the game world... Now, Overwatch has kind of stumbled with Overwatch 2. Yeah. So there is sort of an opening for someone to kind of supersede Overwatch.
There have been so many others that didn't get as big, like Battleborn and all the other ones that
Randy Pitchford's Battleborn.
Yeah, that's right. He's gonna come up at some point. Now you made me lose my train
I wish he'd put his name on every game. I would love that.
Yeah, oh yeah, Randy Pitchford's
Borderlands movie.
Oh man. Anyways, yeah, just so many hero shooters, and this is just another one of those. It's a genre that I don't play, and so I can just recognize, okay, this game is just not for me.
Yeah, instantly.
But the development effort does look nice. There's a lot of banter during the gameplay when they're shooting and stuff. Like characters are shouting their quirky little attitude lines, and it like the development efforts there. It's clearly the people actually working on it.
So yeah,
are passionate.
It turned into like a dev diary thing, like afterwards. Like it had like all these like talking head like interview kind of moments where like the developers, they're talking about the game. After this like 10-minute CGI trailer thing.
Right.
Happened,
yeah. That's right.
And you can tell, and from the gameplay, it does visually look really good. The visual style of like the worlds and environments that they showcased was really nice. I will say it does have a really nice logo. I don't remember what the logo looks like. I do, yeah. But I
looked kind of like it was that blocky kind of industrial.
Yeah, kind of, it looked like it'd be like on the side of like a spaceship. Or something,
right.
Yeah. But
nice title art. I like.
Yeah.
That.
They specifically say it's influenced by fighting and strategy games, which I did find a little interesting. That they kind of like thought about it from that kind of perspective rather than it just being a shooter.
They did talk a lot about how they were really trying to refine the way that the first person hero shooter feels in your hands. Yeah. Like the way the controls actually
That's feel. Right. Yeah, they were talking. Yeah, they specifically were like, we've been spending like months and months and months and months just trying to get like the game feel, the gameplay feeling right and tight.
Right. Moving all kinds of like averages and math equations and stuff to try to get that controller input and like thumbstick input to actually like snap, in ways that feel good. Yeah. That's my interpretation of what they were saying. But yeah, so definitely some effort. Yeah. They're not just crapping this out.
No, it doesn't feel like that. Because sometimes you do see these kinds of games come along where it's like, we made this when, we started development 5 years ago and this was a trend and it has to come out now.
Right. That happened with the Battle Arena type stuff, I feel like, or the MOBA when MOBA was a big thing.
There's a big push for MOBA, like Smite and stuff. I don't even know if it's probably still around, but I don't know.
I don't know.
So a couple things they mentioned that I also thought was kind of interesting was that the game also has a big emphasis on characters like having deployable like items and stuff to add to like the battlefield.
Right.
Because it's not a single player game. This is always 5 players going up against 5 players. Right. And there's probably different objectives. It's probably not just like team deathmatch. There's probably like capture the flag style stuff.
Right. They probably have different games you can play.
Like... Yeah. And so they talked about like a lot of games, like if you die, like your items that you spawn in the world would go away. They mentioned that like items are like persistent throughout like the whole match. So if you lay a mine at some point, like that mine is there until the end of the match, or if someone trips it and blows up or whatever.
Right.
I mean, I would have to imagine there would be like a number that you can only have like out at once. Like you can't just like, okay, I used my 3 mines on this life and now I died again. Let me put 3 more. Now you have 6 things persistent.
Yeah, right.
But there was like this giant like Baymax looking thing that like deployed like an auto turret kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then something they really, even though this is a multiplayer game and there's no like single player like story content, they did talk about like the world building and the narrative being important to them, and that every week when you log into the game, there would be a new like story segment that would essentially play out.
That's right, and that's interesting. And I'm that actually made me go, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, because I think like Overwatch, I don't think they ever really did anything like that. Right. Overwatch would put out like these like YouTube videos,
Right.
That would, like, when new characters would debut, that would kind of, like, add to world building and stuff.
Which is also an interesting way to do things.
Genshin Impact does a lot of that, too, where there's...
Genshin Impact probably is the game's loaded with lore, and then you have additional lore.
Yeah, like, you gotta watch... I mean, like, if you want everything, you gotta watch YouTube videos, you know? They have, like, original anime stuff going on. So, anyways, it comes out August 23rd, and something... I should mention is that I mentioned that it's for both PS5 and PC. So PlayStation stated, I think a day or two before this event, that going forward, due to the success basically of Helldivers 2, all of their live service games will launch day one for both PS5 and PC.
I mean, it's stupid that they haven't been doing that.
Right. But they said that all their like single player, their prestige sort of titles, those will continue to be PlayStation 5 only for at least a year.
Well,
and then they come to PC.
Still live service, right?
No.
Or no? Okay.
No.
Single player stuff?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So, like, Ghost of Tsushima 2, if that comes out. Or, you know, a new Sly Cooper, and that's not happening.
Right, I wish. Oh, jeez. But I can see for the multiplayer reasons why that would be a big deal, you know, for PC and PS5 to both.
Yeah, I mean, Helldivers 2, more people play on PC than play on PS5. More income is generated on PC than on PS5.
Right. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I don't know. I did like I said, the development effort. It's just very much not my game.
Sorry, I feel like I have to sneeze.
Oh.
It's not coming out,
like,
though.
What's he signaling to me?
Yeah, I'm like blowing on my face. Like, I'm dying over here. I'm hot.
So, next up is God of War Ragnarok being remade.
Well, not remade. No, this is the PC port.
Oh, that's right.
Of God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, okay. So, they're putting God of War Ragnarok on PC. I'm sorry. Which is, you know, another big step.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is basically alluding to what we said, you know, like God of War Ragnarok came out 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so now it's coming out for PC players to enjoy.
Right.
It's being ported by Jetpack Interactive. Their logo appeared during the opening credits. And I guess in a way it almost sort of is remastered for PC, but it doesn't have that in its title.
Right.
Because it does have an unlocked frame rate.
I could tell it looked better.
It did. Yeah. I mean, like, whatever trailer they captured, or whatever computer they captured that trailer on,
had like
must be like the most premium
the next
thing.
NVIDIA that's not even out yet.
Yeah, probably. Unlocked frame rate, various graphic and upscaling tech, super ultra wide support, or ultra wide / super ultra wide support. At one point, it looks like it's, you know, like mega widescreen. Like, I know some people have those insanely massive monitors that are like 8 feet long.
Those curved monitors,
which is cool from like sort of an immersive sort of experience.
Right.
I could especially see it being immersive in like a first person game, like Metroid Prime, almost like you're inside the visor, you know?
Like it's the shape of the visor.
Yeah. And it's available for pre-purchase now, and it'll come out on September 19th. Now, some of these first-party PlayStation games that have come out on PC have been in a rough state when they launch on PC. Like, I know the Last of Us games that have come out on PC have been in a really rough place when they first launched.
Which is weird because the game's been existing for a long time. You think, I don't know. It's obviously when it translates over to PC. But the game was built on a PC, so it's really hard to make sense of it. I think they probably just, I don't know, the way that they do their 4K textures and stuff like that, and the way they just upscale everything, they don't take into consideration all the different builds out there. That's what I figure it is. The settings in the game don't account for different, you know, components and stuff like that. But yeah, you've seen that with PC games forever. Remember Watch Dogs? Yeah. On PC, it was like they found bigger textures like in the files when they dumped it. Yeah. That weren't the textures that were like installed.
Right, like why?
Yeah. But yeah.
So not a whole lot to really comment there.
No.
But, you know, it's interesting. I feel like PlayStation, I think PlayStation's worried about, like, they want to, with these first party releases, they want to first have it on PlayStation 5 for a year or two.
Yeah.
So that means they want people to buy their hardware to play that game there.
Right.
But I don't know if PC gamers are really ever going to be so inspired to buy, like, the hard, you know,
right.
essentially what for a lot of them is a less powerful device.
I don't know if they're gonna move PS5s with this, but what they will do is
they'll sell copies of their game.
Yeah, exactly. And which, I mean, like in the case of Helldivers 2, launch them both simultaneously, both versions, so that day one, people, PC gamers and PlayStation gamers, are playing together and sell millions and millions of copies.
Yeah.
And then with your single person or single player games, release them on PS5, make them exclusive to get those other console gamers to flock to PS5. But then a year later, put them on PC and just make more money.
Yeah.
You know, just maybe not millions.
Do you think they risk, like, alienating not only PC gamers by making them wait? Because there are some gamers who, they want to play a game when it's new and it's out first.
Sure.
You know? Like, a year or two later, it might be too late.
Yeah.
Like, they might just be like, you expect me to pay $60 for a game that came out 2 years ago?
Right.
No thanks.
Right.
You know? And then you have to balance, like, not upsetting, like, the hardcore console people who, like, could get offended that, like, how dare you put, you know, these exclusives somewhere else? Like, why should I even buy a PlayStation 5?
Okay, so that kind of religious fervor, I see more with PC gamers than I do with console gamers. I don't think console gamers are gonna react the way that PC gamers reacted when Shenmue 3 got announced that it was going to be on the Epic Game Store.
Right.
You know, people lost it.
Yeah.
That's how PC gamers are. Some, the loud minority, I guess. But console gamers do get fervorous, but not like that that I've seen.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I see on Twitter, like, people comment. There's still console warriors out there, like hardcore Xbox people. Which, like, I always see, like, if you look at the big threes, like Twitter account, whenever they post a new tweet, there's like all these replies like Xbox is better. You know,
the war's been over.
Nintendo's for babies.
The war's been over for like a decade.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Like,
well, there's some people that just can't let it go.
Yeah.
Like, I saw. Well, we'll get to Astrobot a little later, but a new Astrobot game was announced, and like I said, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. But I saw people commenting on, like, the Twitter or the Instagram post when they posted about the new Astrobot game on the PlayStation, and there were comments of people saying, "Imagine buying a PS5 for this game."
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
what? Yeah,
I
want to. Now you make me want to talk about that game.
Okay, well, we're gonna get there soon. Well, it's the very last thing.
Yeah,
so it's gonna be a few minutes.
I know.
So the next thing they announced was, well, they didn't really announce. They played a teaser trailer for Dynasty Warriors Origin, which is coming out on PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. It's developed by Omega Force. It looks like very AAA.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, this is Omega Force, like, leveling up from, like, a very generic
kind of
hack and slash,
arcadey hack and slash.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be a hack and slash game.
Yeah,
but I think the visual level of fidelity.
Dynasty Warriors always looked the way it did, from my perspective, because of how many elements and character models you had on screen.
Yeah,
like there was no way you were going to get away with, like, you know,
crazy detail.
Yeah, like Last of Us level detail on those characters.
But this now looks like, visually, like, super clear, whereas, like, Dynasty Warrior games tend to be, like, really fuzzy, you know, because there's just, like you said, so much going on the screen. because you're like juggling 500 enemies on like one sword slash.
One like slash from your spear and like 100 people go flying. That's what Dynasty Warriors is. Like that's their whole gimmick and identity, I guess.
If you played like Hyrule Warriors or any of those, this is those people.
Yeah.
But this is like
Hyrule Warriors is a spin-off from Dynasty Warriors.
Effectively, yeah. But this is like the mother child, the mother child. The mother child. That's what we're calling this episode.
Oh God, name it that.
It sounds like some weird freaky thing.
The mother child.
But yeah, so it's the granddaddy.
Yeah.
Like this is what birthed the hack and slash kind of
the massive hack and slash genre. Yeah. Hack and slash was definitely around during like the 16-bit era.
Sure.
But like massive, these sort of like
one person versus armies kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand these games do have like a very big tactical element too, where you're like issuing command, like you pull up a map and you like issue commands and like tell other units to go to like certain places on the map.
Yeah.
And then you can like switch characters on the fly.
Yeah.
I played, I didn't play Hyrule Warriors, but I did play.
I own it and never played it.
I played Fire Emblem Three Hopes, which is a Warriors game.
Right.
It's not fire. There is a Fire Emblem Warriors.
But
Fire Emblem Three Hopes is sort of like an alternate reality version of Three Houses. But it's totally warrior style gameplay. And anyways, I got really into that game.
Yeah.
And that was the first Warriors game that ever really clicked with me.
Yeah.
And like I loved it. I was like so taken by it. So I'm actually I'm excited for this.
Same. I would play this.
But it says a 2025 release date. No time frame in 2025.
Well, all they had was a CG teaser.
Yeah.
So.
No, it looked... Did it look CG? I thought it
was I believe they showed something that looked like gameplay, but I'm pretty sure it was pre-rendered.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, this next game... I didn't know what I was watching at first. It's called Infinity Nikki.
Yeah.
It's for PlayStation 5, PC, and mobile somehow.
Yeah, so this is going to be... This is kind of I feel that this is going to be chasing like what Genshin Impact did.
Okay, yeah. So after doing more research on it, because the trailer didn't really tell me what was going... Like, the trailer didn't tell me what kind of game it was. Or like... Is this a premium game? Is this a freemium game? Is this a gacha? Like, what's going on here?
Right.
I got, like, some of those vibes from it.
Right.
So what this is... so this is developed by Paper Games / Infold Games. It's an open world... Described as an open world dress-up game. So you play, like, a... like Asian Barbie kind of style looking character.
Yeah, like old school anime.
Yeah, like Sailor Moon.
Card captors, Sailor Moon type stuff. Yeah.
So got like the like huge eyes, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so it's free to play. There's not different characters to play as. You're always Nikki.
Yeah.
But the costumes that you can get costumes in the game, but there's also like premium costumes that you can get through like the gacha mechanics.
Right.
It's set in a world called Miraland. And different outfits will grant Nikki different abilities. A few examples from the trailer was like one where she's like floating, one where she's gliding, another one that shrinks her down. And apparently these... From what I've read, there's been some betas that have happened before this announcement was made.
Right.
And like you can mix and match outfits to like create different abilities and things like that. It's, believe it or not, they got someone from Nintendo to work on this game. Former Zelda director who directed, who's been with the Zelda team since like the Wind Waker days. And he was director on the DLC for Breath of the Wild. Kentaro Tominaga, he's working on the game in like a senior capacity.
Sure.
And there's going to be a PS5 beta test later this year in Q3 of 2024.
Yeah.
Now this is open world. It showed like different environments.
Right.
I didn't notice like the visual fidelity again is like kind of off the charts. Like, I'm like blown away by like what a lot of these like Chinese developers are doing.
Yeah, right.
I did feel like it kind of clashed a little bit.
Right.
Like the world felt like hyper real, but like the characters and stuff seemed a little like almost like out of place from what I was seeing. And I don't know if you noticed, did you see like the jumping looked a little off?
Yeah, the floating with the skirt. You talking about like when the character floats with her dress?
Yeah, there was like just character movement looked a little funny.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely trying. I know why you like what you see. I see it really trying very hard to be Genshin Impact because it's really
like they didn't show any combat.
Yeah.
At all in the trailer. It just showed like exploration.
I don't mean necessarily gameplay wise. I mean like format wise.
I mean it's catering to I feel like a more very casual audience, maybe like non-gamers a little bit. I mean, I'm not sure. Like, they didn't show any combat in the game. Maybe there is combat in the game. I'm not aware of it or not. But I don't know. I just think it's interesting. It's like taking Style Savvy and making it an open world RPG.
Yeah, right.
You know, a game about like dressing up and changing your outfits.
It's an interesting thing to have a dress up game, which has been a thing before, but in an open
what was
world.
that Balan Wonder World?
Yeah, right.
That was like a game where you change costumes. And
it was just
ability.
the hat, just your hats.
Oh, just the hat changed.
Yeah.
It didn't affect the whole outfit, just the hat only.
Well, the hat would give you different abilities, and so it was kind of like a transformation.
Okay.
So yeah, you would collect hats, but it would transform your whole.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we talked about Kim Kardashian.
Hey, yeah, look,
right.
The influence of that game just spreads far and wide.
Right. Yeah.
And I actually, this whole Nikki brand is like a long-running series of mobile games prior to this.
Oh, really?
So, and apparently fairly, I had never heard of it, but like from like, I went to like the Nikki subreddit.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people speaking very passionately about the game.
Okay.
The game. So it's like it has a fan base.
Sure.
And I think the mobile games have been more. It looks like, you know, like more no crazy RPG elements. You know, no world exploring stuff, but more like town building. And
social game.
Yeah, like dress up kind of stuff. Now this game, I'm not sure that it's multiplayer. At all. I didn't seem to see anything that suggested it was.
Well, I kind of took.
I mean, it is going to be live service, and that like you're probably going to be.
Is Honkai Star Rail multiplayer, or no?
No, you have access to like you have a friends list.
Yeah. And
there's some game modes that let you borrow friends' characters.
Yeah, so that's.
But there's no actual like cooperative.
I see it being something akin to
maybe
Honkai.
Something like that. Yeah.
The anime style actually reminds me more of Korean anime than Japanese anime.
Yeah, it didn't like the character design did not look Japanese style. You know.
Yeah.
It did have more of like a Chinese or Korean look to it. But I believe. This game is being developed. I think Paperfolds or Infold is a Chinese developer.
So, do you think this is going to be a freemium?
I think so.
Digital
I think this is going
only?
to be a like free to just download and start playing kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
I think it has potential. I mean, Sony is quickly becoming like the gotcha station, the PlayStation 5.
They are.
You know.
Yeah.
They're courting a lot of these free-to-play games, and I mean, they must be getting a lot. I think Xbox is probably kicking themselves for having missed out on like Genshin Impact and games like that.
Yeah.
Because you got to imagine how much money and just all the microtransactions. You know, Xbox would be getting a 30% cut of like all those things.
Right.
And PlayStation's got them on lock.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, right.
Like, none of these games are coming to Xbox.
Yeah.
But so another game from Infold Games Ballad of Antara, the next game that was announced.
So right away, I'm going to say if I was going to pick one of these that I wanted to play, it's this one.
Okay. So this is also developed by Infold Games and a studio named Tipsworks. It's a free-to-play action RPG with multiple playable characters. There's different gameplay destinations that feature handcrafted spaces. So rather than like an open world, it's like you'll go to different areas. So like you'll travel to the forest, and like the forest has a whole map that's just the forest, you know. It's not some massive sprawling world like Infinity Nikki or whatever the previous game we talked about was. So they say that the exploration is or the level design is exploration oriented. So they want you to like, you know, really spend time exploring the different handcrafted areas. It releases in 2025. It's got a single player narrative, but you can also tackle quests and dungeons with up to 3 other players. So that kind of makes me think like Monster Hunter. I did get sort of a like a Dark Souls kind of vibe. There showed like a lot of boss fight looking things going on. And
it did look Neo almost in a way.
Like you had to be good like at the parrying and the dodging. Like it does look like a real action game. I do wonder if like it's going to have that level of like brutalness to it.
I actually legit thought it was going to be Ghost of Tsushima 2, like when it first came on.
So and then they said that they hope or they plan to do like frequent post-launch support. So this is basically, I do wonder how does this work? A free-to-play action RPG with multiple characters. But like a strong narrative as well. So I do wonder if it's going to be gacha, like, or if you're just going to like pay $5 to get the new character or something.
I don't know if, I mean, multiple playable characters could mean anything. It could be gacha mechanics, but I don't know. The story and the character like development just in the trailer alone suggested way more lore and
it didn't really give vibes of being a multiplayer game, or like even a free to play game. Like I got like single player action adventure narrative games from it, but then when I went to the PlayStation blog and read what they had to say about the game, I was like, okay, that's totally unexpected.
It's not what it looks like.
So I do wonder if like, are you gonna have to play with people? Or is this something
that would turn me off hard if I did.
Like, or can you just, or is that just optional and something you can do for fun if that's the kind of gamer you are? You know? But if you can just enjoy the game, you know, I guess for free with like the main character or something. Like I don't know. I do wonder how they do that. Like if you're a main protagonist, but it's like you get to a point in the game where it's like, well, they're no longer good enough to progress. It's like, well, how do you keep them involved in the story? I mean, Genshin Impact's main protagonist is like a practically worthless character. Like they're not very good to use in the game. So it's like no one ever plays with them, you know. But like still when there's story sequences, they're always there, you know.
They show up. And I mean, Honkai does that too.
I would say Honkai's main character has been more useful.
You're right. Definitely you can use her or him. But there are other characters that why wouldn't you be using them? You know.
Depending on like the makeup of your team and certain aspects different characters bring, I think it works better in a turn-based game where you can make better use of maybe characters who aren't on paper super strong but offer some kind of unique utility. You know?
But all I'm talking about is how she shows up or he shows up in the cutscenes, no matter who you're playing as. That's what I'm talking
So that would probably happen with this game then maybe. Which, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I feel like...
I agree.
If, like, your party is made up...
of 4 very other characters. Yeah, why are these guys here?
And, like, for example, like, Star Rail and Genshin, like, you can get, like, villain sort of characters to, like, play with, you know?
Right.
So it's, like, it doesn't make... like it doesn't make like canon wise, you're not actually traveling with those players,
right?
You know, like from the story perspective,
right?
Just because you have that character and you use that character when you play the game, like the story does not like look at that character as being part of your party,
right?
You know, like in Genshin Impact, there's like more than 50 characters at this point,
right?
And like, is the story just supposed to be like you guys are all traveling in a herd together? You know,
Honkai's that way too. I'd be running around as a character, and there's that same character standing right
in front of you. Yeah. So I think that's the nature. I don't know how else you do that in like a gacha style game.
Yeah.
It's probably the only solution. You just got to kind of deal with it.
I mean,
but yeah,
it's not ideal.
I agree. I when I first started playing Genshin, I remember thinking like, oh, cool, this person's like part of my team now.
Right.
You know?
It makes you feel like it's happening and everyone's coming together.
And like it seems like it at first, you know, like this, because you meet a character very early on in Genshin and she joins your party. And then like you get introduced to this town and she's in all the cutscenes with you. But then like eventually you get sent to go somewhere else and it's like, well, they're no longer with you in the story, but they're still in your party. So I was like kind of like taken aback by like, wait, what? You know?
Yeah, it really is just gacha logic.
Yeah.
You just have to accept that.
Yep.
That's enough about Genshin.
Well, we're just talking about character parties.
Right, yeah, I know.
Okay, Skydance's Behemoth. So
real quick, I was very relieved to see this. And the fact that it's a VR game being represented in this.
They had 2 back-to-back VR games.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, the next game we're talking about.
You're right. Too. I didn't even notice that.
Now, none of these are Sony developed. So Sony's not personally
they're not
support.
First party. I get that. But
it seems like Sony has moved on from...
They're still promoting VR. At least
promoting it
with these guys.
Right. I mean, they have an obligation. They just launched a VR headset not even a year ago.
So wild.
Yeah.
Just
they've already
Jim Ryan's PlayStation, everyone.
Yeah. This new peripheral. Oh, it didn't sell that much? Okay, well,
yeah.
Close London studio. Cancel all our in-development products.
Millions of dollars of development is happening on games for this platform. Currently, at this time.
PSVR 2 is the Vita.
Yeah.
All over again.
Yeah.
Is what's happening.
You're right. Yeah. Get it now, folks.
Okay. So Skydance's Behemoth. Now, Skydance is like a company that makes movies, typically. They're like a movie production house.
Right.
But so I guess they have games now. And they have a game called Behemoth, but it's not just called Behemoth, it's Skydance's Behemoth.
Right.
So this is for PlayStation VR 2, and I believe it's also coming to PC virtual reality headsets. It's developed in-house by Skydance Games.
That's a smart move on their part.
Yeah, it is. It's a medieval fantasy VR melee combat game. So swords, shields, daggers, bow, and arrow. First person, of course. I mean, as things generally are in VR. And you are straight up, like swords, you're just fighting off monsters. And it looks like a linear, not like super open world, but some open environments.
Right.
But the really big highlight of it is that you get to fight like these massive behemoth monsters.
Right.
We were talking earlier before we started recording that it was reminiscent of like a Shadow of the Colossus kind of thing.
In the sense that there are big giants.
Yeah.
But I mean, in that game, you're climbing on them and stuff.
Well, did you not get the impression that you would probably have to be doing something like that to defeat these monsters?
They didn't show anything.
They didn't show you climbing them, but I guess I don't know why.
But like Shadow of the Colossus, like it's almost puzzle-esque the way you have to defeat them.
Right.
This didn't seem that way to me.
No, this is definitely more. I feel like Shadow of the Colossus gives you time as a player to like
learn its patterns,
figure out the puzzle of like just scaling the monster itself is a puzzle, you know. Because you're so small in Shadow of the Colossus, like the monster doesn't even like take note of you really.
So there are gigantic monsters around you, and I mean any game that puts you in a situation where you're next to something massive, especially in a VR space, stands out.
And it showed at one point like literally the foot like coming down like right on top of you.
It showed that a couple times. I think that was their money shot that they thought.
Well, it showed it happening to like an enemy. Yeah, like an enemy getting stepped on, and then at the end, the trailer closes with the monster like stepping on you. The camera goes dark, you know. So I could see that being in VR being like pretty thrilling and exciting, you know. Right. So cool looking game. The next PlayStation VR 2 game that they showed is Alien Rogue Incursion. This is developed by Survios
is how I'd pronounce it.
And so this is a first-person action horror game set in the Alien film universe. You explore an overrun facility on the planet of Perdon. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. They describe it as, you don't just, like, it is a shooter, they do call it. So you have a pulse rifle, but they say that you want to use the environment to your advantage too. You don't just want to try to run and gun. I imagine ammo is not just going to be infinite in this game.
Right.
I thought it was like more survival horror, but they describe it as like, specifically action horror. So maybe something more akin to like Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 4, as opposed to just being like straight up scary like Siren,
Right. I'd attribute the action horror to 5.
Yeah.
4 still did feel more like a survival. The beta of 4 felt even more like that, but 5 is the one where you have machine guns.
Gatling guns.
Right.
And riding on like Jeeps and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So they didn't have a whole lot to say on the blog post about it, but it is coming this holiday. I feel like Alien is a great VR, like if you want to, something to be scared in. And the pulse rifle has that like sensor thing on it, so you hear like the beeping of like when you're getting close to like another life form. So I could see them finding some fun ways, particularly in VR. I know there's been a couple Alien video games that people really like, Alien Isolation in particular, which is like a huge, massive fan favorite, and people say is like terrifyingly scary at times. So you take that and put it in your head, put it on your head. I would probably be crapping my pants at different points if they do this correctly.
For me, it's all about Alien 3 on Game Gear.
Okay. It's the best Alien game.
It's the best Alien game.
I was scared.
Top-down graphics.
There's a really cool Alien game for DS that Way Forward made that has a really unique way off topic. But like you have like a whole cast of characters, and like if you die in that game, like that character then is dead. And then you just switch perspective to like another character. So some cool potential, probably like trying to make it to the end with everyone alive.
That's
I own a copy. I remember getting it at Target and it was like clearanced out. But it looks really cool. I need to get around to that at some point. Alright, so we mentioned there would be another hero shooter live service game. And it's Rick's favorite franchise.
And it looks, it's of course it's a hero shooter. And where I was complaining, I guess, about the Concorde looking Marvel's Galaxy Rogue whatever, here's a Marvel's game, same genre. And this is where I start to kind of get critical about state of play in general. Here's a bunch of games that are like the same thing. I really get that a lot from state of play, and not all of them obviously, but like it really is like cool. Let me watch state of play so I can see 4 or 5 new hero shooters.
Right. Well, let's do a quick count. There was 1,
I think it's
2, 3, 4, 5 live service games. That were a part of the state of play today.
That are confirmed to be. Some of these other ones could end up being.
Okay, but specifically, right now we're talking about Marvel Rivals. This is for PS5, Xbox, Series consoles, and PC. Developed by NetEase Games. It's a third person, so not first person at least. It's third person. 6 versus 6, so not 5v5 like Concorde.
Oh, big difference.
Hey, I'm sure hero shooter people will tell you 6 is massively different.
Right. I mean, I'm speaking to something that's not like
right. Yeah, I know. It doesn't on paper it doesn't look like a big deal.
Like yeah, but I just don't. This is not my area.
Right. So it's another hero-based PvP shooter. A big emphasis of the trailer showcasing a lot of destructible environments, which is something we didn't see in Concord.
Right.
So this showed like whole buildings falling apart and collapsing during a match. So based on like because Marvel characters have all kinds of crazy powers. Like it showed like Storm like doing something, lightning and tornadoes and stuff like that going off.
I'm just so sick and tired of Marvel getting shoved down my throat. And I remember sitting here watching this part of the state of play and just being like, am I being expected to get excited about seeing...
Marvel fatigue is a thing. And you're not the only one feeling. Even like hardcore Marvel people have like Marvel fatigue right now.
Right. So let's shove more.
I mean, again, these games have probably been in development for 3 or 4 years, and it's like now it's time to get announced, whether the timing is great or not.
Yeah, right.
It's happening.
Thanos everywhere. I'm
Fortnite doing the dance.
Yeah, dude. Get it out of here.
All right, so we got to finish talking about it. Characters are going to be split into 3 different roles: Vanguard, Duelist, and Strategist. So I'm guessing Vanguard sounds like a more tanky role. Duelist is probably the more like damage-oriented role, and Strategist is probably like the healer, tactical, placing items and things like that around the map kind of character.
Right.
One unique thing about the game is they said that you would basically be able to do like characters have like all kinds of superpower abilities and stuff because they're heroes or whatever, and villains too, it looked like. So they said that you would be able to like I guess do like team attacks together where you can combine your powers to create like unique like super attacks going off around the map. So I don't know how exactly you'll trigger that, but something to look forward to, I guess, if this is kind of your thing, a unique take, because I don't know that like something like Overwatch has the ability to like combine abilities with other like character.
There's been so many hero shooters. I would expect at least one by now to be able to combine attacks.
Yeah. Well, Overwatch is the gold standard when it comes to these things.
Right.
I mean, even before Overwatch, though, you had Team Fortress.
Right, that's right.
On PC, on Steam.
Yeah.
From Valve.
Right.
And I think that's honestly where the hero shooter first began.
Right.
Because you would have like different characters and they would each have their own set of things going on. And Overwatch took that another step forward, making it like really more a personalized experience and fleshing out the characters. But since then, so many competitors have come out.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 is struggling. There's an opening, maybe, for a new hero shooter king. So companies are trying to be that guy.
Yeah, right, of course.
And PlayStation would probably love if it's their game, Concord.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, how many can exist simultaneously?
I don't know. Well, if you get the whole world hooked on one, they don't have... I mean, maybe they can have one more.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I just don't know how we can sustain so much live service activity at once.
And it just results in games getting lost. And it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, especially smaller games.
Right.
AA games.
Getting lost in the news cycle, but also getting lost permanently because servers shut down. We're going to make 11 of these and maybe one will be successful.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, we're just going to shut down the servers.
Yeah. Oh, well, the obligation is we leave it up for a year.
Right.
And then we go away.
Yeah. And it's just, that's what I mean by getting lost.
Okay, so our next game is called Where Winds Meet.
Yeah. This game looked cool.
This game looked awesome.
Yeah, this was... forget that other one. I want this one.
That other one ends up being a live service.
If that one ends up being live service, multiplayer or whatever.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
So, Everstone Studio, I believe they're a Chinese studio. They describe this game as a superhuman open world martial arts adventure. It's been in development for 5 years. It's set in the period of Chinese history known as the Five Dynasties and 10 Kingdoms. Mm-hmm. It blends the real and fantastic elements of Chinese martial arts together. On the PlayStation blog, they really talked about how like martial arts are like the core of this game. Like you're gonna see like real, actual like martial arts stuff happening.
Definitely forget everything. This sounds way too cool. I'm on board.
It is going. Obviously, there is like some fantastical ability stuff. Some
it gets into mysticism.
Yes. Yeah. Well, some crouching tiger, hidden dragon looking stuff. Characters flying around up in the air and stuff too.
I saw like House of Flying Daggers, like they're flying through the air. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I want this one.
There is 0 release window for this. This is like no one had ever heard of this title until the PlayStation State of Play. Oh no, maybe it was announced for PC at some point prior. But no release window, so probably a 2026 title. But visually, it was stunning. It is going for pretty realistic look.
Yeah.
But it did seem to have a little bit of like a overall cohesive style going on to it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think a lot of games don't really think about martial arts anymore. It's all about like just actual like swords and stuff.
Right.
Or which is parts of martial arts. Yeah. And I know that Chinese martial arts also includes different kinds of...
Well, there's all of Kung Fu, which is all the 7 animals styles.
And they did specifically mention Kung Fu in the...
And then you have, Wing Chun, Wushu... is Wushu? Yeah, Wushu's Chinese. Shaolin Drunken Fist, all that stuff,
So it'll be cool to see how they incorporate those things in an authentic way to the game. Okay. Next game is Until Dawn Remastered. This is for PS5 and PC. This is ported / developed by Ballistic Moon. Originally released in 2015 for the PlayStation 4. This is a... how to describe it? It is a...
It's like a slasher horror, survival horror.
It's literally like a slasher movie in the form of a video game.
You're familiar with what's that game called? There's another game that also has Dawn in the title, and it's got like a dude with a skull mask. He's kind of got scraggly black hair.
Okay.
Dead by Dawn.
Dead by Dawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same kind of thing.
Okay.
Like it's a slasher.
I've actually played the original Until Dawn on PS4. I never totally finished it. I was playing it like with Jessica. She was watching because there's like it's a very narrative driven game. The gameplay is fairly minimal. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure thing. I mean, there are elements, or there are times where you're walking around and there's like collectibles and there's like quick time events and things like that. But I was having her like help me like make my girlfriend like make choices and things like that with me, and then we kind of see the results of her, oh, you got that person killed. It was fun and sort of like a couch kind of, not true co-op, but you could play it like that.
I gotcha.
Anyways, it's an enjoyable time if you're into like slasher movies and sort of choose your own adventure style games.
These slasher survival horror games are kind of a unique thing that have popped up in recent years. We had the Friday the 13th game that got really big. Like, it did well. Yeah,
they've been making a lot of like multiplayer horror games, based on like classic like movies and things like that, and that genre, so where you're like, there's like 4 or 5 survivors and one Freddy or whatever, and then like you all gotta try to defeat Freddy somehow in like 15 minutes, and, it's like 5 players versus 1 player kind of a thing. It's an interesting concept,
With the one player being overpowered.
Exactly, yeah. Because obviously you got to compensate somehow. And that's got to be challenging as a developer to like get that balance just right.
It's a very interesting thing, like very unique.
They made an Evil Dead game as well.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, same kind of concept. Style, you're the crazy evil demon spirit, and then there's the people in the cabin trying to just survive the night.
Gotcha.
Okay, another announcement is just a port of a PC game coming to PS5 and Xbox, and this is Path of Exile 2.
Mm-hmm.
Path of Exile 2 is probably Diablo's biggest competitor out there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a top-down action RPG.
Is it like a dungeon crawler?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like got that like isometric from the top view, and it is going to be cross-play and cross-progression with PC, which is nice to see. Mm-hmm. So if you've already got like an account, you should just be able to log into it there and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And it's also, the console versions will have a exclusive like couch co-op mode as well. Mm-hmm. So you can play with friends. I don't know if it's like just one other person or if it's 4 people. I know consoles seemingly struggle with like a high-end game
performance
split screen. Like it's a lot hard to render 4 different gameplay things going on at once, Right.
With PC, you don't have that issue because everyone has their own PC,
and that it just doesn't even need to exist there. So it's cool to see them do something exclusive for consoles. Mm-hmm. And early access to the console versions will be available later in 2024. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if that means, like, are you playing in the permanent game servers, or are you like in an offline special early access server? Like, how does that work? Or is it just like, hey, bugs might occur if you're playing in this early access version on console?
I have no idea. Mm-hmm. I would think that it'd be PlayStation hosted, like.
Well, it's cross progressing with PC, so that would tell me the servers are hosted by Paths of Exile themselves, or whoever the developer is, which I forgot to note here.
Okay, interesting. Then some things have changed from the past, like past guidelines on PlayStation's part.
Yeah,
if that's true.
Cross play, and that means you're actively playing with people on PC,
right?
And so you would have to be sharing.
Right. PlayStation's not hosting their server.
I know cross progression and cross play is something that's a more recent thing that Sony's been more open to. For the longest time, they were very like closed garden. Like, no, if you want to play with PlayStation
can't
players,
even host your own stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
and then they started opening up with the advent of like Fortnite.
Right.
Like eventually they started letting people play with PC, and now everyone that plays Fortnite all plays together.
Right. But like, there was a point where Sony wouldn't even let the developer host their own server for their own game.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Okay, we're almost done. We're going to speed through these next 2.
Really dragging this out.
And then we'll talk about the last one. So Silent Hill 2, the remake. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
There was a new trailer for it at the State of Play.
It looks good. It does look good. I like seeing Silent Hill 2 in that, quality. But it just rings as like a sales, tugboat for their other Silent Hill thing they're trying to do.
Oh, that weird.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so they, right after the State of Play ended, Konami hosted they call it the Silent Hill Transmission. And it was like a 45-minute like Silent Hill presentation. They did about like 15 minutes of like just raw gameplay of the new Silent Hill 2 remake.
Yeah.
They showed a trailer for the new Silent Hill movie that's coming out.
Right.
They showcased some new merch. And I can't remember, they maybe talked about another project that's going on, but slipping my mind.
They didn't talk about that thing? Is that what you're trying to say?
I kind of just read a summary about it, so I'm trying to remember
gotcha.
If there was another major thing. But yeah, the emphasis was just showing Silent Hill 2 gameplay, debuting some new merch. Oh yeah, they did like they showed the trailer for the new movie, which is apparently just straight up Silent Hill 2. the video game, the movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
People were saying it's like shot for shot, like
right,
that looks
really?
straight out of the game.
Oh boy, I need to look at that then.
It's not being called Silent Hill 2.
They better not mess that up.
Yeah. Well, already people are like, why does the main character not have blonde hair if that's supposed to be
James Sunderland?
Yeah.
Well, if his name is James Sunderland in the movie, I'm going to have a problem then. But if it's not him, like, okay, the first Silent Hill movie was basically pretty much Silent Hill 1.
Okay.
But instead of a male main protagonist, it was a female. And
that was a trend at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just... She had a slightly different motive for going into Silent Hill.
Okay.
But, like, the whole story of Alyssa and her being burned and stuff in the hospital and all that was all there. Like, it all played out just like Silent Hill 1. So, if they're doing something like that, fine. That's fine. It's technically, essentially an original Silent Hill story. It just happens to be all of Silent Hill 1's events.
Okay.
But, with a different protagonist. If they're doing that, I'm cool with it. If they're going to call some redhead James Sunderland, no.
Okay, what if, like, it's authentic, but just his hair color is off?
I mean, other stuff has done, like the new Mortal Kombat did that with some characters. Like, Raiden was bald.
Okay.
Raiden has long white hair. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like,
They do it just to be
just
different.
Just to screw me,
yeah.
Like in the head. Like, I don't know, like, why.
You throw your popcorn bucket in the air.
Be correct about what you're doing.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't think they've really gone into too many details about like who the characters are. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it looks like the movie maybe finished filming. Like it looked like a pretty extensive trailer with like all kinds of different shots from like different points in the story of Silent Hill 2.
Right.
But yeah, it does appear to be, from what I'm seeing, people are like comparing screenshots from the game to like moments in the trailer, and it's like lining up that way.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, but yeah, they're not really advertising it as like, hey guys, we made Silent Hill 2 into a movie.
Right.
Because it has like a completely different subtitle. It's like Silent Hill 2 The Scarening, or something. Something stupid.
Is there a 2 in there?
No.
Okay, alright.
Yeah. Because they already made a Silent Hill 2 movie, right? Which has nothing to do with Silent Hill 2.
Right.
Okay.
Getting back to it.
Monster Hunter Wilds. We're going to be quick with this one. This was originally announced last year at the Game Awards, where Rick and I were in attendance.
That's right, I remember.
With all the sights and smells of that wonderful award show.
Mm-hmm. You can check out our episode.
The sights and smells of the TGA.
That's right.
Last December. Check it out. This is developed internally by Capcom. They debuted a new trailer, showed off quite a bit of gameplay, still has its 2025 release window. A couple new details, some big changes are coming to the Monster Hunter kind of makeup. Normally Monster Hunter, you have like a hub town.
Yeah.
And you kind of get sent out on these missions to these different
like,
locales, biomes, whatever you want to call them. This one seems like instead, like it's going to be more seamless now, going between the different biomes, locales, the hub. Like it sounds like they're really going for a more overall connected and cohesive world. I don't know that they're describing it as totally like open world. Yeah. There might still be some.
I'm getting sick of open world. I appreciate more the hub with the different.
I think it will be, depending on how they do it. For some players, Monster Hunter players are a finicky bunch, especially the ones who've been playing like since they're like the older games.
Yeah.
The PSP, 3DS, and PS2 era players, they're like, they like certain things the way they are. They don't, like, I would hear people complain about like Monster Hunter World, like making the game too easy and too accessible, like removing some of the clunkiness.
That is a thing. Like some people will be like, what's the problem? What's the problem with making a game more accessible? No, there is a problem. Like some people will have a problem with that. Right. It's like, and they have legit complaints about it becoming too easy and deviating from its original difficulty.
I've been playing, my first Monster Hunter game was on the PS2, and I would describe, or sorry, not the PS2, the PSP. Yeah. And those earlier games I would describe as clunky.
Yeah.
Like in terms of movement and things like that. I know some players really like it that way, you know, and I still feel like feel like Monster Hunter is still Monster Hunter. I don't think it's lost its identity so much so that it's like unrecognizable.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, the thing about Monster Hunter is it was always on this weird kind of bubble of like, you know, it's really big in Japan, but we can't seem to make it successful in any other part of the world, you know, like, and they were just kind of constantly building. And it really wasn't until Monster Hunter World that it sort of had this breakout aha moment for a lot of players where like finally it clicked, you know, and that's original essence of Monster Hunter is still very much so there in World. At least I think so. Maybe there's people who disagree. I mean, like it's I think it's Capcom's best-selling game of all time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I mean, the difference between if it becomes a little more accessible.
Yeah, I get it.
If it means the game gets to live on,
I get why make a game more accessible.
Right.
100%. I also get why.
Right.
There's a counter argument there.
I think, you know, sometimes games like a sequel will come out and it'll be like it's a total like Zelda 1 to Zelda 2. Like that's a different game. That's not Zelda.
Right.
I don't know. Like to me, Zelda 2 is like I appreciate Zelda 2 for what it is.
Yeah,
don't
talk
I'm not
crap.
here to talk, but it's like it's such a massive. When you look at all the other NES, SNES, Game Boy, you know, it's so different from all of those.
It is very different.
Yeah, and it's like I respect that it's weird and different. You know, like it deserves a rightful place in the Zelda history and everything. I'm not here to talk bad about it, but I do think you can alienate like the traditional like people who are into like the core Zelda.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, you picked a very early on example.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare.
I think more people were probably accepting of that.
Yeah.
You know, initially like, oh, okay, they're going for a side scroll.
There wasn't much to you know, factor in there.
Yeah.
There's one game before it, and NES games were as rudimentary and basic as they were.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but
I mean, that game is crazy for what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Like it is.
It's
a technological marvel in a lot of ways too.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, so again, they're kind of creating a more seamless world. It doesn't sound like the hub to hunt is going to be a thing anymore. It sounds like there's going to be like events and like objectives that can come up naturally as you're like out exploring in the different biomes.
Right.
And they did announce a few new different monsters. I have them written down here, but I'm not going to try to pronounce them. The 14 main series staple weapons are all coming back. And one particular thing they noted is that instead of being restricted to just one weapon when you go out on a hunt, you'll now be able to have like a backup weapon. So you can choose to bring two weapons with you and switch between the styles.
Okay.
Probably by going to one of the little camps or maybe going to your mount, which maybe has like a bag or something on it.
Gotcha.
So that's, I think, going to be really exciting for some players. Although I could see some people like crying foul of that.
Yeah, right.
And then the other thing they announced was that there would be costume bonuses for players with Monster Hunter World save data. So that goes for having save data for the base game as well as having save data for the expansion that came out with it.
Oh, okay.
So just some costumes, nothing earth-shattering.
Right.
But keep in mind, before you load up Monster Hunter World, make sure your save data is downloaded on your console so you can get those bonus costumes.
Right. Obviously.
Okay, we're at the grand finale now.
Yeah, okay.
So, Astrobot for PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
This is being developed by Team Asobi, which is a spin-off of Japan Studio, which is now defunct.
Right.
So, Team Asobi is Sony's only Japan internal studio now.
Right.
Honestly, this is the game. Really, out of everything, Astrobot did not like blow you away?
Oh yeah, it did.
Oh, okay, it did. Okay, so because you said earlier you only were gonna play if you were only gonna play one thing.
Yeah, I would take that one. I would take Where the Winds Meet over Astrobot.
Okay,
but that's not to say Astrobot doesn't look freaking like it's such a refreshing, you know, throwback to the way games were and I feel like are still supposed to be. They just aren't getting made.
Like this trailer, I think it was the best trailer out of anything that they showed. Like, it looked like so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, from the crazy music going on, all the visual effects. Like, if you liked Astro's Playroom, the free PS5 game that came installed on the PS5, this is essentially that, but cranked up massively.
This is not Astro's first game, nor was Astro's Playroom, right?
No.
There was one before it?
So,
right?
On PlayStation 4, there was a pre-installed title called The Playroom.
Right.
And this featured those little Astrobot characters.
Yeah.
And it was basically a demo that showed you how you can like do different things with your controller. Mm-hmm. Like there was like a little mini game where you'd be like firing shurikens by like swiping on the touchpad on the PS4.
Shurikens.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I know if I say anything martial arts related around Rick, I'm gonna say it wrong.
Well, I mean, anyone knows that, dude. Shuriken.
Shuriken?
Shuriken, yeah.
Shuriken. How did I say it?
Shuriken.
Shuriken. Sorry, I got my Hadouken. All right, it's getting hot in here. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, for real.
But I do want to talk about this. So this is a new fully... Oh, yeah. So there was also the Playroom VR.
Okay.
Which you could access if you had a PlayStation VR headset.
That was on PSVR 1, right?
Yeah, for PS4.
Okay.
So that also showed you... It also acted as sort of like a fun tutorial thing that had some like games. And then Astro's Robot Rescue.
Okay, that might be the one I'm thinking of.
Yes, that was Astro, I don't think he was ever like as a character. Astro is unique compared to the different Astrobots.
Right.
Because he has like a little cape or something that he kind of wears.
Right.
And this game was a full-fledged PSVR 1 title. To me, it was like VR's Super Mario 64 moment.
Right.
If you've ever played Astrobot Robot Rescue, you know what I'm talking about. The game just constantly blows your mind with like things that they're doing in VR. Like it's just one after another. Every level is like, oh, that is so clever.
Yeah, and then that is what like Astro's Playroom ultimately had about it. And it feels very Nintendo.
It does.
Like it really does. And
it's just...
But it also feels very PlayStation.
Yeah, well...
well, with all the PlayStation paraphernalia.
Yeah,
stuff,
so, I mean, I know some people are turned off by the, like...
That's that game's identity.
Yeah.
They're idiots if they think that.
Because people were complaining that this new game, just called Astrobot, is, like, also incorporating a lot of PlayStation identity stuff into it.
Yeah.
Just like...
That's what that game... He's a tutorial character. Like, he was born from a tutorial.
Yeah.
He's all about the controllers and the hardware and the different games.
Yeah.
Like, that's his identity.
I agree. Going back to...
I'm all getting passionate about this stupid...
Going back to, like, the demos, even on PS4.
Yeah.
Like, those Astrobots existed to...
Yeah.
To teach you.
Yeah.
And to, like, to interact with the hardware.
And the games, like, the games... Astro's Playroom teaches you out of the box as a pre-installed title how to play your PS5.
Yeah.
Like it teaches you all the different features, has you use them in real time. That is that character in that game's identity. Is all the different hardware. You unlock like a whole museum of like all the past, even like PlayStation TV is represented.
Yeah, like the most obscure PlayStation stuff is in this like museum.
It's crazy.
And this like incredible mural slowly gets built on the wall.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, and that is the identity of Astro.
Yeah. I was seeing people, not a lot of people. Most people have no problem with it being like a PlayStation mascot game.
It's just the people that have to be heard.
I guess
need to like...
I'm turned off by all the PlayStation stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, what are they selling you? Like, you can't go buy a PS2 in store anymore. Right. So, like, don't worry about it. You know? It's not a marketing tool to go get you to buy something. Right. You already bought the thing. This is a free game.
This is like... But what it does is serve what Melee served for.
Yeah, that's true.
For Nintendo,
that had like a very big museum sort of aspect to it,
and brought back characters some people never heard of.
Right, and made them like incredibly relevant.
Right.
Like ice climbers, no one's thinking about ice climbers if it's not for Super Smash Brothers.
They did. That's so. Those people's argument, they would have to also say that with Melee, Nintendo was trying to sell copies of Ice Climbers. That's stupid.
I'm sure some people are arguing that.
Okay,
anyways. So back to Astrobot.
Yeah.
This game appears to just be, from a surface level, what we see in the trailer, a massive iteration on what we got in Astro's Playroom. Instead of just a handful of levels, there's going to be more than 80 levels, 6 different worlds, and 6 galaxies, they call them, with 80 levels, and it includes extra die and retry levels for like hardcore gamers. It doubles down on the PlayStation cameos and Easter eggs, and they say that these will be more meaningful and more integrated into like the game itself, rather than just like you see Nathan like, Drake off the side, you know?
Yeah, it's actually interactive and part
so
of
maybe
the
like
game mechanic.
You'll get to like play as like the Astrobot version of like Nathan Drake, and maybe there'll be like a run and gun segment.
Yeah,
like I see a lot of potential for like some fun stuff, especially if they like can work out some licensing stuff with like maybe some third parties. I mean, I don't know. How cool would it to be to have like...
Well, Journey's represented. I saw that. Yeah,
like Crash Bandicoot. I mean, that's...
I think Journey was in Astro's Playroom too, though.
Yeah, you might be right. I'm sure all of those cameos are coming back.
Yeah, right.
But it would be fun to see them, I don't know, work with other third parties who maybe at one point were part of like the PlayStation identity, you know?
Yeah, right.
So there's going to be even more emphasis on the DualSense controller. If you remember Astro's Playroom, you do all kinds of like wacky stuff where you're like rubber band kind of like jumping thing going on. So they claim that they're going to like basically, not that they don't claim this, but it sounds like they're intending to kind of blow people's minds with like different things to do with the controller that you wouldn't have thought before, you know, or using the features in unique gameplay moments. It releases September 6th. A physical copy is confirmed. I think pre-orders are actually...
Oh, thank God.
Yes. Yeah, because people were worried this was going to be like a digital-only title. Because, well, Astro's Robot Rescue did get a physical release.
Oh, it did? Oh, okay.
But all the other things have been digital-only.
Well, right. Well, I mean, they were... the early stuff was borderline utility, you know.
Yeah. I do have a question.
Yeah.
The title. So there have been other Astro games, and they've all had like subtitles or things like that. This one's just called Astrobot.
So if you think about it, and you can argue that Astro's Playroom is a okay. You can make an argument about Astro's Playroom with me, but I'm gonna say that this is kind of Astro's first standalone like release. Like you'd have to buy a PS5 to play Astro's Playroom.
I'm not going to argue with you. I do think that Astro's first game really was the VR game, because that was not a small game.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Honestly, the title does make it sound like it's the first in a series, but I don't have a problem with it.
I do think it's smart. I think it's smart because, like, previously, Astro has been relegated to peripherals, demos, tech showcases, that kind of a thing.
Right.
And now he's getting his own starring retail role.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Everyone with a PS5 can play. You don't need a peripheral. Don't need a headset. So I think it makes sense because this game could be huge, and I think it's smart. So that way the next game can be Astrobot 2.
This also tells me, too, that, like, this game's probably huge in scope. Compared to, like, Astro's Playroom, which you can beat pretty quick. You know, this is probably, like, a full-blown game.
I mean, presumably this is going to be $60 to $70.
Okay, I'll buy it.
Oh, yeah. I haven't bought a Sony published game not since Marvel or Spider-Man Miles Morales on launch day with my PS5.
Right.
So every other Marvel or every other Sony game that's come out since
Mm-hmm.
I've like waited for a sale, or I just haven't even gotten to it yet.
Right.
Astrobot will have my day one support.
This is an actual original PlayStation character. Probably the only one.
In terms of like a mascot style character,
right.
you know, akin to something going back to like the PS1 days.
Right.
This is all that exists now.
This is it.
Yeah, I don't look at like Nathan Drake and think like PlayStation mascot, you know?
He could be, but I don't think he is.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe he has. I don't know. Like, I yearn for like the Mario, the you know, the Blinks, the Time Sweeper.
I don't need a cartoon character. It doesn't have to be a cartoon character, but just something that does represent PlayStation.
Yeah, the Croc.
The Croc.
Like Croc.
Just Croc in general?
Yeah, like that era of games had mascot platformers.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And like we don't get mascot platformers very often.
Well, Croc
anymore.
was on PC as well.
Well, you know, okay, Sock or Little Big
Oh,
Planet.
Sackboy. Yeah,
is definitely.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, yeah. So,
but it's Sackboy and Astro.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
In terms of like the mascot platformer character, everything.
They could have Sly Cooper, but
yeah,
they don't.
They don't. Yeah.
And
I don't know. Maybe Astrobot does well, and Sony's like, okay, we got to market for these kinds of games.
There is a mad appetite.
Yeah.
I feel like
you see it a lot in PC. People are making retro style like platform, like mascot games.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope this inspires. I hope the sales are really crazy good. I hope Team Asobi gets to expand. I'd love to see them bring back Ape Escape. I'd love to see them like touch on like more of PlayStation history.
Yeah.
You know, like sure they can make an Astrobot 2. That would be great too. You know, whatever.
Yeah, right.
But I just want to see them succeed. And God, I hope Astrobot does well. Support it day one, people.
And transmission.